himself, saying that absolutely he has never cheated. This is the problem with this area. We are dealing in shades of grey. We are dealing in areas here about drug use that was within the legal means. Bradley Wiggins saying there that he's used the triamcinolone under a therapeutic use exemption. That's a medical certificate signed off by 2 doctors. But then you listen to the MP's report, who have an anonymous source which talks about how a group of riders trained separately and how they used triamcinolone in preparation for 2012, the Tour de France. These are 2 very, very divergent views of what happened during that period of Team Sky's history. We are no clearer tonight, given both sides. There is evidence, and there is evidence that's been given to a DCMS Select Committee, and then you have Britain's most decorated Olympian on the other side giving that defence of himself. This is where we're at.
So where does it leave him, Sir Dave Brailsford, and Team Sky?
Well, Sir Dave Brailsford, in particular, out of this, he talked about being whiter than white in terms of Team Sky's establishment. This was a cycling team that was coming into the sport at a time of when the sport was on its knees in terms of doping scandals. And, again, the evidence that's been presented, there are unanswered questions around the use of drugs in and out of competition, and the abuse or misuse, as has been suggested, of therapeutic use exemptions. Big questions for Sir Dave Brailsford. As for Sir Bradley Wiggins, well, he is now, of course, retired from road cycling, but he has ambitions in the sport with his team, and he is trying desperately to clear his name. He feels, as he said in that interview, that he has been smeared. This is going to go on from here, undoubtedly. We have investigations by the General Medical Council into what the doctors involved in this have done or not done. And also in the back of it, UK Anti-Doping, which has concluded its investigation, but said it is open should new evidence come forward. Well, the DCMS today has presented an anonymous source, which it says is well placed. We await to see developments from here.
Richard Conway, thank you very much. You'll hear more from Wiggins at half-time and after 10 o'clock tonight on 5 Live Sport. Elsewhere, Pep Guardiola has accepted the FA charge for wearing a yellow ribbon, i.e. a use of a political symbol. It's understood that the City manager doesn't see this as an apology, but will observe the rules of the country where he's currently working. John Hardy's been called into Scotland's Six Nations squad for the first time since serving a 3-month ban for alleged cocaine use. And the Australian vice-captain David Warner is being investigated by the match referee after TV pictures showed him confronting South African wicketkeeper Quentin de Kock outside the dressing rooms during the first test. Warner got into an argument with the South African team and had to be restrained by his own teammates. Australia won the match by 118 runs. 5 Live Sport, we're at Selhurst Park this evening. Crystal Palace against Manchester United, less than half an hour away. Here's the latest BBC News.
On digital, online, smartphone and tablet, this is BBC 5 Live.
With the headlines, I'm Richard Foster. Police say 2 people who are thought to have been poisoned in Wiltshire are still critically ill. One of them is a former Russian spy called Sergei Skripal. He and a woman are in hospital in Salisbury. Craig Holden from Wiltshire Police has been speaking in the past half hour.
Because we are still at the very early stages of the investigation, we are unable to ascertain whether or not a crime has taken place. A major incident, however, has been declared today, and a multi-agency response has been coordinated. Alongside our partner agencies, we are conducting some extensive inquiries to determine exactly what led to these 2 people falling unconscious and to clarify whether or not any criminal activity has taken place. This has not been declared as a counter-terrorism incident, and we would urge people not to speculate. However, I must emphasise that we retain an open mind and that we continue to review this position. We have access to a wide range of specialist resources and services that are helping us to understand what we are or aren't dealing with at this time. The focus at this moment in trying to establish what has caused these people to become critically ill, and we are working with partners to prioritise this diagnosis and ensure that they receive the most appropriate and timely treatment. We will continue to appeal to any members of the public who may have information in relation to this incident and to contact us by the 101 system or, if it's urgent, via 999. We would like to reassure members of the public that incidents of this nature are taken extremely seriously, and we currently do not believe there is any risk to the wider public. We would like to take this opportunity to thank members of the public who have assisted us so far and respected the cordons which remain in place in Salisbury.
That was Craig Holden from Wiltshire Police speaking in the past half hour. Our correspondent Layla Nathu is following the story this evening. Hi there, Layla. Clearly the significance is the man who's been apparently poisoned. What more do we know about him?
Yes, well, police clearly unwilling to go there in terms of confirming any details about who exactly was involved beyond confirming that it was a 66-year-old man and a 33-year-old woman. But we understand that the man involved is a former Russian Secret Service officer by the name of Sergei Skripal. He was arrested in Russia in 2006. He was jailed for treason after being accused of spying for Britain. Then in 2010, he was pardoned and released by the Russians in a so-called spy swap. He was sort of released to the UK in exchange for 10 Russian spies from the US. So he was believed to have been living in Britain, and we understand that he is the man who was found unconscious on a bench here in the shopping centre where I am in Salisbury yesterday evening alongside a younger woman.
The picture from the police still sounds a little confused. I suppose they could be forgiven to trying to work out what exactly is going on here, what's gone wrong.
I think that's exactly it. And the police are saying that they are trying to understand how these two, the couple, became unconscious just in front of where I'm standing now, which is a short distance away from the bench where there is still a police tent over. I can see some police officers in protective suits currently going through some bags. They're wearing masks themselves. So they still have no details. They have released no details yet of the exact substance that they are investigating, of how exactly those two came to be unconscious. But I did speak to an eyewitness earlier today who had seen the couple on the bench before the police had arrived, and she described to me their state looking like they had taken a number of drugs or drunk heavily. She said, in her words, they were completely out of it. She said that the woman was sort of nestled up to the man. Her face was sort of pressed against his shoulder. She described him as making very strange hand movements, and she said they looked completely out of it. So I think police will be trying to ascertain what exactly these two were exposed to. But as yet, they are not saying anything more about the identities that we believe to be the case.
Layla Nathu, our correspondent, following the story. More on this throughout the evening here on 5 Live. Just a couple of other stories. Theresa May says young people are right to be angry about the lack of houses in England. The Prime Minister set out a shake-up of planning laws in the hope of speeding up home building. Jaguar Land Rover and Cadbury have both halted production because of water supply problems. Thousands of people across Wales and South East England are still waiting for supplies to be reconnected. And Trevor Bayliss, the inventor of the Clockwork Radio, has died at the age of 80. He developed the device to tell people in Africa about AIDS and HIV, and later became an OBE and a CBE.
This is BBC 5 Live on digital, online, smartphone and tablet.
Travel news then, just a couple of things to report this half hour. M4 eastbound in London, the earlier broken down vehicles causing queues at junction 2, the turn for Brentford. And in Kent on the M20 eastbound, one lane's closed because of an accident between junction 2 at Rootham and Brands Hatch and junction 3 at the M26. One lane's closed there and there's queuing traffic. Richard Foster, 5 Live Travel.
Get more from BBC 5 Live with 5 Live Podcasts.
More news.
This is 5 Live Investigate.
Hello and welcome to Headliners.
This is Wake Up to Money.
This is Eye of the Storm.
Hello, Brexit casters. Fear not, here is an emergency Brexit cast.
More sport.
Welcome to the 5 Live Football Daily.
I'm OJ Borge, and you can now download the new bespoke weekly podcast.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Checkered Flag podcast.
Very grateful to have all of your companies here on Test Match Special.
More 5 Live.
Hello, welcome to 5 Live Science.
5 Live's Arts Club podcast with me, Will Gompertz.
Kermit and Mayer's film review. This is Fighting Talk.
Search 5 Live in your podcast app.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
And we're live at Selhurst Park this evening, an 8 o'clock kick-off for Crystal Palace against Manchester United with Conor McNamara.
And there are two changes for Crystal Palace tonight. The return to fitness of two players, Schlupp and Kelly. They'll come in for Fosu Mensah, who can't play against his parent club, and Rita Veld. For Manchester United, one change from their win over Chelsea last time out at Old Trafford. It's the man who scored the winner in that game, Jesse Lingard. He starts, takes the place of Martial.
Conor, thank you very much. Former England fullback Danny Mills alongside Conor. Dominic Fifield from The Guardian London football correspondent, is with us as well. Whatever Manchester United do here, they won't be winning the title, and there's still the possibility that Manchester City could win the title in the derby at the beginning of April at the Etihad Stadium. Of course, City beat Chelsea yesterday. Do you think City are getting enough praise at the moment? And I know that may sound ridiculous, but in their last 3 games, they've dismantled Arsenal twice and Chelsea, and all the focus and all the attention has been criticising heavily the losing team.
I think the teams that they've beaten, it's always going to be that way. I mean, City against Arsenal in the cup final were decent, were very good, but Arsenal were poor. In that first half in the league on the Thursday night, they were unplayable. Those 3 goals were exceptional. Some of the 3 best goals you've seen in the Premier League. You know, team touch, movement, pace, power, everything about them was absolutely brilliant. Exactly what you expect from a Pep Guardiola side. They fought, I mean, nearly 80% possession against the champions, against Chelsea. Incredible. That's how much respect, how much fear even the top clubs have of Manchester City at the moment. The problem with that is they've been so good from the very, very start. We gave them the title back in October, and it looked like they were going to win it then. They've gone on to it. They're clearly going to win it, without a shadow of a doubt. So the focus has gone away from that. They have been absolutely exceptional. Best team to watch in England, definitely. Possibly in Europe. They've got everything. And Pep has, after learning a lot last season about the Premier League, has transformed the team, and looks like he's transforming the football club. And you'd be very, very surprised now if Champions League.
Do you find the criticism then of their opponents over the top? And I'll ask you what I asked Alan Shearer, that when you were playing, 90s and turn of the century, when you were playing the great Manchester United team or the great Arsenal team, the Invincibles, when you went to a Highbury or an Old Trafford, or when they came to Ellen Road or the Riverside or wherever, did you at any point settle for damage limitation?
Without a doubt. And even if you talk to some of the Manchester United players, and we did when we met up at England camp, Sir Alex Ferguson would always say, do not lose to our rivals. Look what Fergie used to do in Europe, play 5 in midfield away from home. We're not losing. Even against the Big Six, that was our problem at Leeds. We had a terrible results against the Big Six clubs. We try and win the game in the first half, first 30 minutes at times. Didn't have a plan B, and we'd get done on the sucker punch 60, 70 minutes into the game. The difference between the two, I look at Arsenal, and either it doesn't look like they're doing what the manager's asking, or he's not asking them to do the right things. The amount of goals they've conceded from crosses recently is embarrassing. It's the same goal time and time again. Murray's header, identical to Harry Kane's header. Before that, there was another one. So if Arsene Wenger is telling the players this is what you need to do, he's clearly not doing it. And the players are going out and not listening to Arsene Wenger, and that's a serious problem. Conte was unbelievably negative. I sort of understand why, because he thought, if I go here and I play expansive, we're going to get battered. So he thought, damage limitation, I'll try and keep it tight, and if I can nick one set piece on the break, however it may be, it might work. Alonso almost could have nicked one at the end, quite possibly, and it would have been what a fantastic defensive display that was. It didn't work, it gets a lot of criticism. But the difference being is, those Chelsea players went out and did as they were told to a letter. So I don't see that in the Arsenal team, in the Arsene Wenger scenario.
Right. So there is maybe a difference then between the...
Definitely, yeah, between those two. Chelsea last week against Manchester United in the first half were outstanding. I thought they were absolutely brilliant. Okay, they ended up losing the game, and Conte's thinking, well, I can't lose another one.
Yeah, and Chelsea arguably at times against Barcelona at Stamford Bridge were similar. The difference being they had N'Golo Kante, I suppose, and his work rate and his energy at least gave them a platform, Dominic, to attack a little bit more, and they did have chances.
Absolutely, they need that energy in midfield, definitely. The disappointment yesterday was that they weren't able to create any of the chances that they did against Barcelona. I mean, they were hoping that they could hit City on the break with the pace of Willian, the pace of Pedro, and Hazard obviously got working through the middle, but it just didn't work. And the criticism that I would have of Conte is, why did he wait until the 78th minute to throw Giroud on, and then why until stoppage time at the end to put Morata on? I think that was what baffled the travelling supporters at the Etihad. That to me suggested a lack of ambition.
But do you think the rush to criticise the opposition is detracting from the praise for City?
No, I don't. I think everybody, it's implicit, isn't it? I mean, and it has been explicit as well with City all season. We've said how wonderful they are, and they are thrilling to watch. Some of the football they play is exquisite.
But it's also what we've come to expect.
Absolutely.
And that's the other problem. So if City fall slightly below their standard, you go, oh, they've only won 1-0. Yeah, that wasn't very good, was it? And actually, nearly 80% possession, dominated. Chelsea didn't have a shot in the first half. That's the first time, I think, since 2003, 2004. They've not managed to have a shot on target in the first half of a football match. They didn't have a shot on target the whole game. And that's the champions. Yeah. That's how good Manchester City are. But I think everybody's looking at it, because the tactics were negative, that's what we focus on. Because Arsenal, their defending was awful, and they've been beaten heavily. And of course, then there was all the criticism, they didn't run, they didn't try, all these sort of things. Yes, of course it's going to ramp it up. You know, let's make no mistake of it, City are absolutely exceptional this season. I was very, very surprised when they lost to Wigan. Didn't see that. I don't think anybody saw that coming. And I genuinely thought they had a great chance of winning the quadruple.
Do you think they'll win the Champions League?
They've got a great chance. A lot of it will depend on the draw.
Yeah.
You know, because if you get Barcelona or you get Real Madrid, you're almost tossing a coin, I think.
Liverpool? If City get Liverpool,
they're better then.
Okay.
Sorry, I know I'm going to get absolute dogs abuse from it, but they will. I think in the Champions League, I don't think that'll be an issue at all.
Just want to play you this from Nigel Reo-Coker, because he was on Match of the Day 2 Extra yesterday. He's a close friend of Fabian Delph at City. He gives an insight here into how Guardiola's been working on improving players.
He's someone that pays attention to detail. You know, I still speak with Fabian Delph, who played with Aston Villa, and he tells me a lot about, you know, how the training is and what he's like as a manager. He spent a lot of time with Sane. Now everyone's talking about how great Sane is, and, you know, Sane said that Pep's paid a lot of attention to him. You know, he's helped him improve his game, to understand the tactical side of football, you know, how he could get to the next level, to be spoken in the same breath as like a world-class player. If you look at how he's playing, you can nearly give him that tag, because he's playing like a mature world-class player. You know, he's just said he's so different to every other manager. It's impossible. I always say to players, it's impossible to have training and train at such a high tempo and turn up to a game on Saturday and be lethargic. It's impossible. And he pays so much attention to detail in positioning and getting players to understand how important distances are, and when certain players are on the ball, what's their best for them as an individual and also for the team.
Do you think, Dominic Fifield, that if we've spoken about Sam Allardyce smirking and we're looking at how managers react and body language, that there's a real synergy between manager and players at City, in that they all seem to be enjoying it? I mean, why wouldn't they be enjoying it? But they all appear to be pulling in the same direction.
But they can see that it works at Manchester City, and at Everton, those players are doubting whether that is the style that's going to get the best out of them, particularly away from home. I mean, Everton's players... Sam Allardyce came to Crystal Palace last season and inherited a squad that for four previous years had been struggling at one point or other of the season, and he tapped into what they knew how to survive, but they just needed someone to remind them how to do it, and the organisation. He goes into Everton. Everton last season were actually quite resurgent. They seemed like a resurgent force. They seemed like a club that was ready to go to the next stage and compete in Europe. And I don't think that group of players is quite as willing to accept we have to go back to basics that Sam Allardyce is there to implement. At City, it's gone so wonderfully well, but it didn't happen overnight.
No,
they were doubters last season. It took them a year to
and they
learn
didn't look happy at times last season.
No,
Guardiola certainly wasn't happy last season, and they didn't seem like they were pulling in the same direction. Have you ever got to that stage at a club where manager, players, everybody in the same direction, where the manager looks like he's enjoying his work and you as a group of players are enjoying your work?
There were certainly times at Leeds where that happened, and I say, you know, and you look at that Leeds team, apart from Rio Ferdinand, nobody really went on to have a better career after. I know Jonathan Woodgate moved to Real Madrid. I know certain players, Harry Kewell went off won the Champions League, but the actual form, you know, week in, week out, wasn't as good. It worked. You know, that the formation worked. the synergy between the players, the understanding, everything just came together and it worked at that point. But it's like Conte last season. He changed the formation and it worked within 2 or 3 games. If it hadn't, the players would have gone, nah, don't fancy this. Not going to happen. There are, not that you get lucky, but sometimes you need that little bit of a break. If you change something, if you do something a little bit different, change the formation, change the team, and it works, then the players go, oh, he knows what he's talking about. And it could be a mistake in the game that is the goal. But because you get that victory, players go, yeah, he knows what he's talking about. If you lose the other way around, oh no, he knows nothing. I mean, players, well, you know enough players. Players really are that fragile.
If we switch it back to tonight's game and just compare City and United, but talk mainly about Manchester United's young players here, will even though he's heading towards mid-20s, we'll include Jesse Lingard as a young player who's come through at Manchester United. There's an awful lot of attention at the moment on how Mourinho is treating Rashford, or looking after Rashford, or maybe even protecting Rashford. Is that simply because we're in a World Cup year and there is an obsession of a lack of options? Well, there's not an obsession, there is a lack of options, therefore there's an obsession with English strikers.
As in we are treating it like that. Definitely, and we want to see Marcus Rashford playing regularly. We want to see him going into that World Cup in form, confident, and he won't get that from being on the fringes at Manchester United.
But I have to say, yes, I think he's a great talent. He's got exceptional potential. Would he get in the Manchester City team? No. Would he get in the Liverpool team? No. Would he get in the Tottenham team? No. Would he get in the Chelsea team ahead of Willian and Hazard? No. Well, so why should he get in a team
that's get in the Chelsea team as a number 9, possibly?
Well, but maybe. But you've still got Morata, you've got Giroud. So I think you have to be a little bit careful and think, well, actually, yes, he's got great talent, but he's not done it week in, week out. And we do get a little bit carried away. He's English. He should be playing. Well, you've got Alexis Sanchez in there. You've got Lukaku in there, Martial, who's on par with him. There's not a lot to choose between the two.
I imagine that the French are getting quite wound up by Martial's lack of game time as well, to be honest. I mean, it is what it is when you're competing at a club with that squad there.
I think Martial might be injured this evening, and why he isn't travelled. The interesting thing, I think, with Rashford, and I don't know what you two think about this, is he's been a bit up and down when in the team this season. And when you actually look at him, he appears to have grown a lot as well and started to fill out. And there's a whole load of chat about Scott McTominay at the moment and how he shot up 3 foot in 2 weeks or something whilst in the youth team. But there's a serious point here, which is different people at that age grow at different levels, and growth spurts can actually be quite difficult for any young lad to deal with, let alone an athlete.
Without a doubt. No one ever questioned Fergie when he was drip feeding players into the team. And you get this great talent, put him on drop him next week, leave him out. You know, Arsene Wenger's done it. You know, with some of the great players that have come through as well. Rashford's still very, very young, and with young players, you get inconsistency. So he's looking at him, and you have to remember, he sees him day in, day out in training. What he's like in training, what he's like with the other players. So he will know, if he's on top form and he's brilliant every day in training, he's brilliant in games, he's going to play. But he's clearly not quite at that level. He's certainly got the potential to do it, but he hasn't got that consistency yet.
But he can look at Jesse Lingard, and he was in a similar position at the start of this season, and see, you know, when he had his chance, eventually
he took it. 25?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and he's still not a regular. No. He's not a definite starter.
But he's proving his pedigree when he goes.
Of course, but he scored all these goals this season. But Lingard still isn't guaranteed a place in the team.
And that's life at Manchester United. I agree with you. You have to trust Jose Mourinho. He sees him every day. He knows whether he's ready to go in and step in there as a number 9 or as a wide player. And now he's got Alexis Sanchez to compete with. Hopefully that brings out the best of him. He's learning from him on the training ground as well.
And the same thing will happen with Scott McTominay as well, who will have a blip at some point. All the attention's on him at the moment, but there'll come a time where he'll have a blip and he'll be taken out, and then the questions will be asked again.
In fairness to Scott McTominay, he's being scrutinised now because for a while he's been keeping Paul Pogba out of the team effectively, and that's unfair on someone his age. From our part, to be honest, to be scrutinised to that level. But he's got potential. Mourinho's seen that, and he's tapping into it.
Probably slightly easier. McTominay is in that position where he's destroying things. It's a lot easier to destroy than it is to create. You know, to score. Rashford, Martial, all these young players will always be judged on how many goals they score. how many assists, and that's the hardest part of the game. We've seen, you know, to man mark someone, it's not easy, granted, and he did a fantastic job at Eden Hazard, but that's easier than it is to go past two people and then slide one in the back of the net or smash one in the top corner. So the pressure is slightly less in that type of position.
I'll ask you more on Scott McTominay, but Dominic, your laptop is being clutched. You have to go and do your day job, so thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Dominic Fifield from The Guardian has been with us. Just one other one, Danny, on Scott McTominay. They tell me at United he still parks his car with the other under-18s, under 23s at the front. He doesn't park his car with,
so he should,
with the first team squad. He works hard, he just gets on with things, and from a managerial point of view, he's a sort of blank canvas, would you say, for Mourinho to work with?
I mean, who was I listening to? I can't think who I was listening to yesterday on 5 Live. I was in the car, and someone said, you know, I think it might have been David Pleat actually. You know, it's better to have a good big un than a good little un. And he is. He's a big, strong, powerful lad, and he's got ability. So he can play. He can stand up to the physicality in there as well. Yeah, and of course, Mourinho's going to use him as and when he can. But he's in that position. He can stand up. He's not going to get bullied by anybody. He's not going to get overrun by anybody. You know, he's not going to get outpowered, outmuscled, which is sometimes what happens, you know, to younger players. But no, you're dead right. So, do you think Sir Alex Ferguson would have had him in the first team car park after 3 games, whatever it is? No chance. Mourinho has continued that. You know, it's an old adage. 50 league games until you've made it. You know, the amount of players that go out of the game, even at big clubs like Manchester United, that don't get to 50 league games and then disappear. That's when you can start parking in the first team car park.
Are you able to imagine how difficult a decision he might have had this week in choosing between England and Scotland to play international football? I mean, his dad's Scottish.
Really?
Well, yeah. Yes, really. His dad's Scottish. I think that's why he wants to. Why he's plumped.
I don't want to get accused of being.
No, I know.
Anything here, anti-Scottish or whatever. But
it seems like, I don't know, I haven't spoken to him, I don't know the situation inside, just from what I read, there's been quite a lot of pressure on him on who to pick, which country to pick.
Yeah, but even, I mean, until he's made a full senior cap for somebody, he would get one probably now for Scotland.
Competitive.
He might have to wait a little bit for England, you know, as simple as that. But you look at it long term, you go, realistically, who's got more chance of qualifying for tournaments? Where am I going to play at the top level? And if he believes in himself, which he clearly does, I think if you've got a chance, and I'll equate this by saying how many players play for England 17s, 18s, 19s, 21s, whatever, friendlies, and then don't quite make it and go and play for other teams? A lot. You know, we've had England under 21 captains go off and play for other countries because they haven't quite made it at the top level. The other way round, how many players in the England senior team have played for under 21s or under 18s at other countries? There might be 1 or 2 in the history of English football. Not many at all. So clearly that says that England is there's much more kudos in playing for England than there is for Scotland. Sorry, Scottish people.
If you're a Scottish Liverpool fan, then you won't have particularly enjoyed.
I hope Graham Souness is not here. I'll be hiding under the desk.
Oh, now if Graham Souness popped up now, that would make my evening. It's Crystal Palace against Manchester United. We're live at Selhurst Park. The teams are out. It's Danny Mills and Conor McNamara.
Thank you very much, Mark. Well, so many times over the years, this stadium has been able to drum up an atmosphere to unsettle one of the big boys. The odds certainly are against Crystal Palace tonight, but if their team can get any sort of momentum, any flow going in this game, the crowd will get behind them. If there's any wobble from Manchester United, it can be pounced upon tonight in a game that's got implications at both ends of the table. Manchester United in their change strip, almost steel grey. Both teams who've had more than a week off to prepare for this one. Crystal Palace's first Monday Premier League fixture since last season when Arsenal came here and Palace won by 3-0. They do like these Monday nights if things can go their way. It's the sort of game that Manchester United have struggled with in recent times this season, away from home against a team scrapping for survival. They lost at Huddersfield, Manchester United. They lost at Newcastle. And let's see how they get on this evening. Can Manchester United get the 3 points that would move them back to second, ahead of Liverpool, before the Premier League game against Liverpool coming up at the weekend? Let's give you a rundown of the teams. 2 changes for Crystal Palace. The return of 2 players from injury, Jeffrey Schlupp and Martin Kelly. Kelly, who'd been out with a hamstring problem. Schlupp, who's taken a while to regain match fitness. They both go straight back into the team. Wayne Hennessy is the goalkeeper. Aaron Wan-Bissaka keeps his place at right back, the 20-year-old, just his second appearance in the Premier League. Kelly alongside Tompkins in the heart of the Crystal Palace defence. Patrick Van Aanholt is the left back. In midfield, MacArthur and Milivojevic is the top scorer. They're both in the middle. Schlupp one side, Townsend the other. Alexander Sørloth, who's still looking for his first goal in English football, the young Norwegian striker. He's alongside Christian Benteke, who has not scored here at Selhurst Park in the Premier League this season yet. For Manchester United, there's just one change from the win over Chelsea. Jesse Lingard came off the bench and scored the winner at Old Trafford in that game. He starts tonight. He'll be with Lukaku and Sanchez as a 3-figure tier up front, with Pogba at the most attacking midfielder, Nemanja Matic and Scott McTominay in more defensive roles, and then a back 4 of Valencia, Lindelof, Smalling and Young, and David De Gea is the goalkeeper. Sitting down in the dugout already is Jose Mourinho, who announced today, Danny, he's going to be working for Russian TV at the World Cup. So, having had quite a bit to say about pundits and co-commentators in recent times, he'll be getting a go to have his turn behind the microphone in the summer.
I'm sure they're the only people that can afford him.
You could be right. We're about to get started. Crystal Palace will start the game, their traditional red and blue vertical stripes.
Don't think he'd turn up for a Cadbury's Cream Egg.
Danny Mills did bring gifts for all the Five Live crew here tonight. I thought it was a chocolate representative of you. It was a chocolate cream egg. All right, now that makes more sense. I get it, okay. Ball goes immediately out of play on the far side off Pogba, who lost his footing and I think almost lost a glove, which slipped off. Throw in to Crystal Palace, which Wan-Bissaka will come forward to take up from right back. It comes off a Manchester United player again. Another throw in, this time now within 10 yards or so of the corner flag that Crystal Palace are attacking away to our left-hand side. And then the ball bounces straight back out again, this time off Andros Townsend. And it will be a throw into Manchester United. Ashley Young, who keeps his place in the team tonight. There had been some speculation that Luke Shaw might come into the team, but it is, once again, Ashley Young on the left side of the Manchester United defence. The ball is hooked straight up into the air off Alexis Sanchez. Benteke tries to control it outside the Manchester United penalty area. It falls down for Jeffrey Schlupp here, who had Van Aanholt outside him, but he wasn't able to smuggle the ball out to the full-back. And then as Valencia comes away with possession, he comes over the halfway line. Now, Van Aanholt is holding his face as if he's been poked in the eye or something there as he tried to challenge Valencia. I didn't think there was much in that, but with the player down, nursing his face, the referee has got to blow the whistle and stop the game and go and check that he's okay.
It was like a rugby handoff. You know, as he went past him, just put his hand out to brush him aside. There's not an awful lot in that. I mean, he's gone down holding his face. Yes, he gets caught with the outside of his wrist slightly. I mean, come on. He's got to man up a little bit and get on with it. He's gone down hoping that the game's going to stop.
A 4-year-old in a playground struck like that would not have gone down. That is disappointing from Van Aanholt, who I think as much as anything was worried he was out of position and was going to get caught out. So play will resume. Van Aanholt, who's leaving the pitch, but will immediately, of course, come back on. And Crystal Palace, who haven't beaten Manchester United in the league since 1991, 27 years ago. That was the season that Crystal Palace finished third in the top flight. They were behind Arsenal and Liverpool that year. Ian Wright scored 25 goals in all competitions, but it's all a long, long time ago, and that's the last time that Crystal Palace have beaten Manchester United in a league game. De Gea has possession far away to our left-hand side, dressed all in black. Rolls it short to Chris Smalling, 10 yards outside the Manchester United penalty area. He goes long, searching over the halfway line, too high for Jesse Lingard. Van Aanholt clears it away, long into the Manchester United half. Smalling controls, helped on by Matic, and he should give it away here, and he does. Milivojevic into space for Wan-Bissaka to run into. on the right-hand side. Gives it forward to Andros Townsend, who's the right winger tonight, with Jeffrey Schlupp, the former Leicester man, back in the team and operating on the left-hand side. This is James McArthur in the middle of the midfield. Pogba had a little nibble on him there. Play on, says the referee. Scooped high into the box. Benteke won't get there. Valencia hooks it clear with his right boot, and it will be kept in play by Townsend on the right-hand side. Steadies himself, returns a really good cross. Schlupp was arriving, and Valencia was a cool customer, having the wherewithal to just allow that past his body, and confident that Schlupp wouldn't get there and it would go for the goal kick.
Good in-swinging cross. But you're right, Valencia was very, very good, knew exactly where Schlupp was at the back post. I mean, I think he's become a really good defender. Bearing in mind, he used to be a winger, converted to a full-back. He's now 90%, 95% of the time, his positional sense, his awareness is absolutely spot on.
No Anthony Martial, by the way, for Manchester United tonight, not even on the bench. We believe he's injured. He started the last game against Chelsea. Still no Wilfried Zaha for Crystal Palace, who I'm sure would have relished playing against his former club. Had that brief, unsuccessful spell at Manchester United. Throw-in, which Young has taken for Manchester United on the far side, far up the pitch for them on the left wing, but Palace immediately regained possession. Benteke into Sørloth. Poor first touch of the Norwegian. Palace hold on to possession though, as Schlupp feeds Van Aanholt over the halfway line. He plays it directly forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Ricocheted all over the place off Smalling, and will go out off Lindelof for a corner. That was very uncertain defending from the Manchester United central pair.
Palace have started well. I mean, Smalling has a wild swing and misses it completely, and that confuses Lindelof, who then doesn't sort his feet out quick enough, and in the end gives away a corner. But Palace have started brightly and are really starting to have a go at Manchester United.
So here comes the corner, whipped in from the far side. Sørloth wins a flick on, and it was stretching from James Tompkins. He got his foot to a right volley, but he put it wide of the target. It would have been spectacular had he been able to finish from there, but he was always off balance. It was almost a scissors kick more than a volley, and he didn't connect with it properly.
No, a very, very difficult chance to get that anywhere near on target. But Palace have started brightly. Roy Hodgson has clearly said to them, look, this is a Manchester United side that you can get at. Defensively, they're not as brilliant as maybe you expect them to be. You know, the centre-half pair. So let's start fast. Let's put them under pressure.
Lingard, edge of the penalty area for Manchester United, scoops in towards Sanchez, who gets a header, but well saved by Hennessy. Well, that was a save, because he came out and he blocked and he stretched his body, and down the other end Benteke runs into the box, but De Gea was always favoured to get there first. Lingard, who just played it in high and hopeful. Sanchez, who's not the tallest, had a great spring in his leap to get the header, but smothered by Hennessy, who dived out to smother it, really just engulfed it with his arms as he jumped out towards the player.
Hennessy did really well. He said it was just a looping, sort of hopeful knock into the box. Sanchez got there first, and as he headed it, Hennessy came right out beyond the penalty spot, made himself as big as possible, and it just hit his left arm.
It's an excellent save, it really is, and you can see there's a bit of fortune to it, that the ball hits him in the face, but he was in the position, he was spreading his body, and he engulfed and smothered that attempt from Alexis Sanchez. Manchester United's first attempt of the game. This is 5 Live from the BBC. You can also listen on the BBC app and the sports website tonight, where there's a text commentary to accompany this game. You can click on the button at the top of the page and listen to the audio commentary from myself and Danny Mills here at Selhurst Park. Manchester United in possession. Valencia right in front of the standing watching Jose Mourinho. Tries to clip it forward, and then Pogba is weak in the midfield, and it's taken off his toe by Benteke, who then passes behind Sørloth. Sørloth gave a thumbs up there, but it didn't look a good pass from Benteke, and Manchester United regained possession.
Team talk for Roy Hodgson is quite easy, really. You know, you just say, look, this is Manchester United coming to town. You know, prima donnas, you know, they think they're better than you, they're a little bit flash, look at them arriving, you know, all those sort of things. Go out there, get about them, get close to them, put them under pressure. Well, we've seen them not at their very, very best. So, you know, go and see what they're made of. And that's exactly what they're doing at the moment.
Here comes Sanchez trying to feed Lingard. Lukaku comes in strong on the edge of the D, but it doesn't sit up for him, and Van Aanholt's able to clear away and out of play, and it bounces up and over Roy Hodgson, standing in his dark, warm winter coat right on the edge of the technical area. 0-0 it remains here on 5 Live. Back at the start of the season when Crystal Palace had that really poor start and they lost the first 7 games, wasn't it, in a row. One of those games was a defeat to Manchester United. They went to Old Trafford. They lost by 4-0. Mata scored, Lukaku scored, Fellaini got 2 in that game. And it was at that stage we thought Crystal Palace were relegated. As of then, it's been a good response from Roy Hodgson to even be in contention to stay up. But they do start tonight inside the bottom 3 as Sanchez feeds Young on the left-hand side. Decent cross. Kelly stretching, clears it away. Straight back out to Young. Sanchez comes in and with quick feet manages to keep this chance alive for Manchester United. Pogba has it. 3 yards outside the penalty area. Scoops it in. Tompkins rises, jumps higher than Lukaku. Down for Schlupp, who's run into a bit of bother here, but he's been fouled by Valencia. And he's much relieved to hear that whistle. And Crystal Palace can clear it away.
If Man United can weather this early storm, get through these first few minutes where they're under a little bit of pressure, it's very high tempo. You just heard there, the quality of Sanchez has on the far side. I'm sure that the audience heard as someone had a sort of a sweep, a kick towards Sanchez, and thought, if he goes down here, it could be a penalty. You can tell United, when they get a chance to put their foot on the ball, they certainly have more quality than Crystal Palace. Can Crystal Palace keep up this intensity for 90+ minutes? It's going to be very, very hard.
Schlupp goes in hard, and Lingard, fair, those is the referee on the halfway line. This is Milivojevic, over to Andros Townsend. Townsend holds off Sanchez to feed Benteke, first time layup. Looking for Sørloth. Sørloth, who I don't think was ready for it, and again Sørloth gives the thumbs up to Benteke. He's very willing, he's very eager to get on with his strike partner, it would seem. This is Wan-Bissaka on the far side, and back in field to James McArthur. Palace are playing some decent stuff here in the opening stages at Sellers Park. Still 0-0. Wan-Bissaka gets onto a back heel. Challenge comes in from Pogba, but he can't hold on to possession. McArthur has it now for Palace, midway inside the Manchester United half. McTominay tries to get close. Milivojevic plays it towards the edge of the penalty area. Lindelof jumps, wins the header, down for Pogba, who's now got it under control, plays a little 1-2 with Ashley Young, and Manchester United will come from deep, and Pogba's launched a long ball up over the halfway line. Tompkins always going to beat Lingard. Palace get it back. Milivojevic sent to circle, rolls it in front of Benteke now, left hand side, stepping into the penalty area, back onto his right boot, little shimmy towards his left, now he sets it up. Townsend! Andros Townsend opens the scoring with a deflection. De Gea hardly moved, and Crystal Palace rewarded for their bright start. We said it, Daddy, if they can get their noses in front, if they can get some momentum, this Sellers Park crowd will make it very difficult for Manchester United now to get back in the game. It's Crystal Palace 1, Manchester United 0.
And it was a big deflection in the end. That's why it goes in. I think had it not have hit Lindelof, it would have gone into De Gea's hands very, very comfortably in the middle of the goal. But they've started well. It's a side foot shot from the edge of the box, actually quite tame, but it hits Lindelof on the back of the shoulder, and then just sort of drifts into the top corner. I mean, Palace absolutely delighted. They've had a good start, but they've just got a massive slice of luck.
It went in off the back of the Swedish defender Lindelof, but Andros Townsend will claim it as only his second Premier League goal of the season. So this gives us quite a game now on 5 Live on this Monday night. Crystal Palace, who can move out of the relegation zone and well clear of trouble if they can get the win here, and Manchester United, who would be denied a chance to return above Liverpool into second should they be defeated. Question has been asked of Jose Mourinho's team. Let's see how they respond. Pogba 10 yards inside the Palace half is to hold off Benteke, who's been more mobile than I remember seeing him in quite some time in the opening stages of this game. And the referee blows the whistle actually for a foul by Benteke, free kick to Manchester United.
But we talked about, before the game, we talked about tactics and what managers do and what they set in place, and sometimes there's nothing you can do as a manager. You know, Townsend shoots from outside the box. It was a tame shot, you'd be happy with that, no bother. It was going straight towards David De Gea. It hits a player on the back and loops into the top corner. You know, sometimes you just get unlucky, but you've got to be able to deal with that.
Here's McTominay attacking the Crystal Palace penalty area. McArthur tracked him all the way. Palace managed to get the ball clear. Crystal Palace 1, Manchester United 0. Sellers Park is buzzing, and this is Pogba now, 10 yards into the Palace half, plays it forward to Alexis Sanchez, now on to Lingard. The flag was raised anyway for offside. Manchester United thought they were getting a corner, but it's going to be a free kick to Crystal Palace. Jesse Lingard had straight offside.
Well, for us and the neutrals, it should make it into a much better game now, because Manchester United have got to come out, they've got to be a little bit more attacking, they've got to have urgency to get back in this. I mean, if they win today, Manchester United, they go into second, and I think that pretty much guarantees them in the top 4. They'll be 12 points ahead, 9 games to go. You know, 9 points ahead, 9 games to go. You can't really see them losing that. You know, for them to have to lose that many games, Chelsea have to win every single game. Just don't see that happening.
Benteke here, battling hard to the edge of the Manchester United penalty area, but Lingard came away with possession and gives it straight to MacArthur. Manchester United have not started well here away from home tonight on 5 Live at Sellers Park, and Milivojevic rolls it over to the young fullback on the right hand side, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Pressure on him from Alexis Sanchez. Palace will turn and retreat, but they do hold on to possession, and all the way back to the goalkeeper Hennessy, who did make that important save from Alexis Sanchez when the game was still at 0-0. Earlier on today, Bradley Wiggins has told BBC Sport he 100% did not cheat, that he's the victim of an attempted smear. That's after a report by MPs said that he and Team Sky had crossed an ethical line. We'll have an extended interview with Sir Bradley Wiggins at half-time on 5 Live once we've reached the break here at Sellers Park. And later on this evening, once the live football is over, we'll have a bespoke special on 5 Live. That's after 10 o'clock tonight, to discuss all the day's talking points in the world of cycling. Here is Valencia on the right hand side for Manchester United. Decent ball, but Lukaku had straight offside before he could get onto it, and a little cheer from the Crystal Palace fans as another Manchester United attack goes a-begging.
I'm a little bit surprised at Manchester United. They have pace up front. I'm surprised in the first 10 minutes or so, with Crystal Palace pushing high up the pitch, put under pressure. They haven't just played a few balls down the sides, in between the full-back and the centre-half. Give Lukaku, Sanchez, even Lingard something to run onto, just to get the defenders turned around and facing their own goal.
That goal by Andros Townsend is only the 4th time that Crystal Palace have scored a goal at Sellers Park in the Premier League against Manchester United. The players who've done it in the past: Jason Puncheon has scored one against United here, James MacArthur has scored one, and the other one by the England manager Gareth Southgate, who scored in 1995. Here comes Townsend attacking down the right hand side, and the defender was Pogba sliding in to put it out for a corner to Crystal Palace, who are playing very well. And if you didn't know what was going on in the league table, you would not think that you've got a team in 3rd against a team in 18th here.
At the moment, it's all about attitude. Palace have turned up, been on the front foot, putting Manchester United under pressure, working a little bit harder, and they've earned their slice of luck.
The goal scorer will take the corner, Andros Townsend. In-swinger from the far side, the right as Palace come forward, it bounced right down in front of De Gea. Unfortunately for Manchester United, it ricocheted away, back out to Townsend, who's under pressure from Valencia here, but he gets it through to Wan-Bissaka, and Wan-Bissaka just waits for the challenge to come in from Matic, I should say, and that will be a throw-in to Palace on the far side. Crystal Palace, who lead 1-0 against Manchester United tonight, if you're just tuning our way on 5 Live Sport. Martin Kelly, from midway inside his own half, will turn and give it all the way back to Hennessy, and the Welsh goalkeeper pumps it straight down the middle and straight at Lindelof, who heads on towards McTominay, but MacArthur is interested in getting involved. Pogba manages to get it under his control. Lingard to McTominay, that's a very good pass out into space on the far side for Ashley Young. Back in field to Pogba. Pogba's given it away so cheaply, just passed it straight to Benteke. Poor from Pogba. Here comes Jeffrey Schlupp, left-hand side for Crystal Palace. Manchester United getting players back behind the ball. Van Arnold tries to stab it on, takes a touch off McTominay, and Valencia in the right full-back position plays it off Schlupp and out for a Manchester United throw.
Pogba's furious with himself, still almost sort of remonstrating with himself. Just gave the ball away very, very easily, under no real pressure whatsoever. I mean, it's just not quite happening for him at the moment, is it?
Manchester United, who have lost 4 of their last 5 Premier League matches they've played in London. The only one they've managed to win was when they beat Arsenal in December, but they don't have a good record in the capital. The ball is cleared away by Townsend, and then Sørloth has done very well in the challenge with Matic. He's into the penalty area. Alexander Sørloth strikes and doesn't beat De Gea down to the goalkeeper's near side. De Gea quick smart. The shot had the accuracy, it didn't have the power.
Uncharacteristic from Nemanja Matic. Gave the ball away very, very easily. Sørloth takes it off him, cuts inside, relatively tame shot in the end. But it's just Man United's body language. They're not as sharp. They're not closing down as quickly. They're not moving the ball as quickly. Crystal Palace, okay, they're making 1 or 2 mistakes. Oh, that's a late challenge.
Van Arnold on Lingard, and he's left a huge streak on the pitch there where his studs went crushing through the turf. Lingard gets up and, to his credit, doesn't make a meal out of that and gives him a little high five, and play gets back underway immediately.
It's just all the body language of Manchester United at the moment. You know, it's all a little bit. It's slower than Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are working harder at the moment than Manchester United.
It's Roy Hodgson who's had to patch together a team. He's got a huge long list of injuries. You could name a starting 11 of injured players for Crystal Palace at the moment, and yet his cobbled together team have got the lead tonight. Andros Townsend with a deflected goal off Lindelof. Crystal Palace 1-0 in front. 20 minutes play.
Doesn't matter how much talent, how much ability you've got. If you don't outwork your opposition, if you don't work harder than them, it doesn't matter. Simple as that. That's the first and foremost. You've got to outwork them, and then your talent and ability comes into it.
Lingard, 15 yards outside the Crystal Palace penalty area, rolls it to Lukaku. Sanchez now over the top. Lukaku on, stabs out his right foot, doesn't get a touch to it. Hennessy makes the save. That was threatening for Manchester United.
Little scoop over the top from Sanchez. Lukaku is inches away. Any sort of contact, I think it's almost impossible for Hennessy to react if it goes past him. The only way he would have saved it is if Lukaku had got a touch and gone straight at him.
Bottom half of the table is completely bonkers, of course, this season. So Crystal Palace, if it like this, would move up. They'd go above Southampton. They'd go above Newcastle, Huddersfield, West Ham and Swansea. They would go all the way up to 13th. Can you imagine if it ever happened that the top 10 of the table was this tight, where every week someone could jump from 8th or 9th to the top of the table? I mean, it's crazy, that bottom half.
I think we can only hope, can't we? But you're right, and we've said this because we said it in the press room before, and how many times have we written off teams? Palace were written off, Swansea were written off, West Brom were written off, and all of a sudden they get a couple of wins. Oh no, they're back in it, and they jump out of it. I mean, it's so difficult, it's so tight down the bottom there, and a lot of those teams have got to play each other, so they're all going to pick up points at some point.
This is Pogba in the midfield, losing his balance but getting the pass back to Lindelof. Now Nemanja Matic bursts forward from the centre circle, but a poor ball again is intercepted briefly by Schlupp. Smalling though intervenes for Manchester United, and now Valencia gives it up to Lukaku with the orange boots tonight. This is McTominay in the midfield. McTominay's been neat and tidy. He's been the one Manchester United player with a bit of zip about him tonight. Pogba onto Lingard. Sanchez has to stretch. MacArthur is nibbling away at Sanchez. Sanchez does well to turn and pirouette and lay it into Lingard. Ashley Young has been booed by the Palace fans, and then a cheer as MacArthur regains possession and pumps it long for Big Benteke to run with Smalling. Smalling, who was feeling under pressure there and palming him off, but eventually only able to slice it out for a throw into Crystal Palace on the halfway line.
Two centre-halves don't look particularly comfortable. Smalling, Lindelof, both already made mistakes in this game.
Here comes Lingard for Manchester United. Pogba to his left-hand side, 15 yards outside the Crystal Palace penalty area. Sanchez plays a dangerous ball into the box, but Martin Kelly's in the right place, and Wan-Bissaka is able to hoof it clear and into the spectators in the stands on the far side. So,
is it just his style, Connor, or do we very rarely see Paul Pogba sprint?
He swaggers, doesn't he?
No, but I mean, even when he's got the ball and he's striding out with it, he almost looks in sort of slow motion.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's just sort of his stride pattern or the way that he runs, but you don't. It doesn't appear that he's going 100%.
No, he's got a strut. He's trying to show his strut. It's the way he runs is the kind of way I'd walk in school, and my headmaster would tell me, "Come on, cop yourself on, have some deportment, McNamara. As here comes Kelly to the halfway line.
You must have gone to a posh school.
I didn't actually. I said that in quite a posh accent. You should have heard how it sounded in Limerick. Come on, will you walk straight, will you? Come on, what are you doing? Walk straight, pick yourself up. Here's McTominay, ball through towards the edge of the penalty area, but out comes Lukaku, and well, he wasn't going to get anywhere near it. It rolls all the way through to Wayne Hennessy, the goalkeeper. So far, Manchester United have been held at bay to just scrappy half chances in the game. Crystal Palace 1-0 in front thanks to Andros Townsend's goal.
They've just got to start working a little bit harder, closing people down, working a little bit harder when they've got the ball to find space, to make themselves available. It's just a little bit too slow at the moment, and because Palace are working harder than them, Palace are on top and making it hard for Manchester United.
Selhurst Park enjoying this so far. Pogba, with his swagger on the halfway line, plays a 1-2 with Alexis Sanchez. And then that's another poor pass. It was intended for Valencia. It went nowhere near the required power, and it always invited Van Aanholt to slide in. Whatever collaboration between his brain and his foot tonight for Paul Pogba, it's not working so far. Here he is again, though, after the throw from Valencia. Pogba, right-hand side of the midfield. Short ball to Valencia, who retreats back inside his own half and gives it to Chris Smalling. Now Lindelof up to the halfway line, short for Alexis Sanchez, who turns and scurries away around MacArthur, and then his attempted pass is intercepted. Wan-Bissaka hoofs it away. Sørloth wins the header, controlled by Benteke, back into Sørloth, good touch from him in the centre circle, then he loops one over the top. Benteke's in a race with Lindelof. Lindelof had a good head start on him. Benteke, though, applies a lot of pressure. Lindelof does well to get it clear via Young, and now to McTominay, and Manchester United play their way out of trouble.
Ball in behind, wasn't of immense quality, but Benteke chases it down. He puts the defenders under pressure. And that's great. You know, that's what you need. You've got to turn bad balls into good ones sometimes. You know, when it's the other way around, Manchester United, it's like, oh, everyone shrugs their shoulders, drops their head a little bit.
That's a good ball from the midfield out towards Valencia, who keeps it in play by the byline. Crossing position for Manchester United. Support from Pogba, rolls it under his studs. That's a good cross through the hands of the fingers of the goalkeeper. Hennessy waves an arm of apology. He got away with one there. It just went right through his gloves. Unfortunately, didn't fall into the lap of any Manchester United player.
Too right, he got away with one. The good ball in from Pogba, a little bit too close to Hennessy. It was one of those where he was probably thinking about where do I throw it before he'd actually caught it. Just took his eye off it and it went straight through his hands.
Pogba infield to Matic. Manchester United beginning to build up some momentum now, but they're coming from behind after Andros Townsend's early goal. This is 5 Live from the BBC in the Premier League, and Pogba on the edge of the penalty area is engulfed by challenges, and it's Tompkins who comes away with the ball. Van Aanholt did well there in dispossessing Pogba. He's not having a good game. This is Sørloth on the left-hand side for Crystal Palace, holding it up, the young Norwegian. Gets applause as he just rolls it back to Jeffrey Schlupp. And at the moment, you've got to say, Crystal Palace are playing with a composure we've not seen from them in a long time.
Been impressed with them so far. I mean, denying Manchester United. But it's about attitude and work rate.
Hang on, here's Townsend on his right boot. He got the power, but it was too high, and it sails up over David De Gea's crossbar.
Now, you work harder than your opposition, you put them under pressure, so when there's a little mistake, you can pounce on it. If a Manchester United player has a bad touch, they're on it straight away, they're there. You know, United aren't doing the same. If the Palace players have a bad touch, well, they're not quite there, they're just standing off a little bit. Just, that's all it comes down to sometimes.
After 10 o'clock tonight on 5 Live, OJ Borg with a bespoke special discussing the events of the day regarding Bradley Wiggins and Team Sky. And the 5 Live Rugby Union weekly podcast is out today as well, looking ahead to the Six Nations of the weekend, discussing George North's fallout with Northampton. Both of those shows available as podcasts from the 5 Live website. Here, though, we've got a really intriguing Premier League game in our hands here. Crystal Palace, who've got their noses in front against Manchester United and are confident not to let this opportunity slip. I mean, we're looking at their fixtures before kick-off, Danny, and saying, you know, OK, they've got a few hard games and then quite a number of games that they'll say we've got a fighting chance of. If they could pull off a surprise victory here, then that's one less victory they need in those other games. It's a huge step towards safety.
It's a bonus game, in all honesty. I mean, even if they picked up a point today, I mean, Roy Hodgson will say, yes, OK, that's what we're aiming for. We're aiming to win the game. But, from a realistic point of view, we haven't beaten Manchester United since 1991. A point would be a great result.
Townsend crosses from the right-hand side for Palace. Smalling on the edge of the 6-yard box, heads it away and heads it out for a throw. Throw into Crystal Palace on the left-hand side. Christian Benteke is covering more ground tonight than I can remember him doing in a long time. He's playing like Nicholas Bentner when the contract extension is due soon. That sort of way, where suddenly there's
this is exactly what I'm talking about, Connor. You don't have to be the greatest player on the planet. People will forgive you for making mistakes. They'll forgive you for having a bad touch. If you work as hard as you possibly can and give every ounce of energy that you've got, people will accept that. And that's exactly what Crystal Palace are doing at the moment.
Christian Benteke, who's only ever once played against Manchester United in the Premier League and not lost. That was back when he was an Aston Villa player. He scored a goal in a 1-1 draw. Otherwise, he's been on the losing team 9 out of 10 occasions in the Premier League against Manchester United. But tonight his team are in front and he's working very hard to keep it that way. Crystal Palace 1, Manchester United 0. The clock ticks on and we've almost got half an hour played now. This is Smalling near the centre circle, short to Lindelof. Manchester United, who've not had much creativity in attack. They've had plenty build-ups through the central third, but not much that's threatened in the final third. As another poor pass from Alexis Sanchez. He's just given that straight to Van Aanholt. No chance for Valencia to get there. Van Aanholt's clearance isn't good though, and Sanchez will pick it up again. Right-hand side for Manchester United. Infield to Matic. Gives it back to McTominay with the white boots. Sørloth comes across to put pressure on him. McTominay to Alexis Sanchez, and then Schlupp tackles, and Alexis Sanchez is upset there in his body language. He's waving his arm and he wants his teammates to make more of a run for him.
Haven't we seen him do that at Arsenal before?
Yeah. It's the old Homer Simpson, can't someone else do it? But Alexis Sanchez, who's not happy with what his teammates are doing to help him out. Manchester United still trail by 1-0. Lindelof back to Smalling, a few paces inside the Crystal Palace half. This is Alexis Sanchez, short to Lukaku. McTominay's going to slide, and then across comes Martin Kelly and very easily again clears the ball away, and it's controlled in the leather brogues by Roy Hodgson, who's still got the first touch. The Crystal Palace fans enjoyed that.
Got to be careful down there, Roy. It's a little bit muddy in that technical area. I think I'd have just left that one just in case.
Here is Alexis Sanchez, short for Pogba. Pogba tries to sell a dummy, and Milivojevic was buying absolutely none of that. He said, off you go, you dummy that direction, I'm going to take the ball off you. And then Townsend thinks he was fouled, and the referee says play on, and the rain is coming down heavy now at Selhurst Park. Here comes Lingard, short to Lukaku, back to Lingard, decent build up this. Van Aanholt is uncertain in the penalty area. Lingard tries to hook it back into the middle. Van Aanholt recovered well initially, at least sufficiently to push Lingard back outside the penalty area, but Manchester United come again. Valencia, short to Sanchez, tries to scoop it, couldn't get the height. Now Pogba in the penalty area. Again, not a great first touch, and it's hooked away by Tompkins, and Palace clear their lines once again.
Palace defending manfully at the moment, putting their bodies on the line. I mean, by the end of the game, what are we now? 30 minutes in, a third way through, they're going to be absolutely exhausted. But they, whatever the result, you can say that they will have given absolutely everything tonight.
Here's Sørloth winning the ball in the midfield. Manchester United just keep giving it away in that central area. Alexis Sanchez is down nursing an injury. Play continues. Townsend back to Benteke. He just couldn't receive it on the edge of the box, and it's helped by the defender back to David De Gea. Sanchez is in trouble. He's back on his feet, but he's wincing.
But listen to the crowd. Benteke goes through, it doesn't work for him, but the crowd can see that he's trying, he's putting in the effort, so the crowd applaud it. Although it was a bad touch at the end of it, it's not a problem. From the opposite side of it, Manchester United giving the ball away under no pressure, so oh well, there's no urgency to go and get it back.
Yep, tonight for Crystal Palace fans, the glass is certainly half full, and why not? As things stand, they're moving up to 13th place in the Premier League, and you look back to early in the season when they lost 4-0 at Old Trafford against Manchester United. They lost those first 7 games in a row. If they could have thought that early March they would be 13th, that would have been seen as a miracle recovery from where they've come from.
By all of us, I think.
Yeah. Here is Valencia on the halfway line. Plays it forward. Lukaku's been a willing runner tonight. He's probably covered the ground that Benteke has, but not with anything like the success. And his first touch there under pressure from Tompkins puts it straight out for a goal kick, and a big cheer for the Crystal Palace fans.
And this is the problem you have when you play not at full tilt, maybe at 85%, you know, just off the gas a little bit. When the ball comes into you, you're not that sharp. You know, you're not quite ready for it. You've got to be going around the place, working as hard as you possibly can, harrying, chasing people down, running after lost causes, doing all that sort of thing. So when the ball comes to you, then you can relax. It's very, very difficult to do it the other way around.
Away from home lately, Manchester United have failed to score in 3 of their last 4 games in all competitions. They need a goal tonight or they're going to be beaten at Sellers Park. Andros Townsend with the shot deflected off Victor Lindelof. And that was early in the game after 11 minutes. Here is Valencia on the right-hand side. Short infield to Scott McTominay. Under pressure from Schlupp. Schlupp tackles him and comes away with possession. That sort of thing is happening all night. Manchester United just giving up cheap possession. Benteke here gives the ball away to Matic. Chance for Pogba to launch a counter-attack. Gives it short to Lingard. Lingard onto Lukaku. Might have been a late tackle on Lingard there, but the referee is happy for play to continue. Lingard gets back up onto his feet in possession onto Sanchez. Sanchez immediately tackled and easily tackled by Van Aanholt, and then the loose ball spills into the penalty area and Hennessy comes out to gather it.
Now, a lot of people say, you know, you make your own luck in this game, and that's what Palace are doing at the moment. And again, it's just, I keep repeating it, it's down to their work rate. You know, they're going into challenges. They're living on the edge at times, very, very close. Okay, if they miss that challenge, it might be a foul, it might be a yellow card. But they're prepared to take a risk, and if you take risks, you get rewards.
Smalling beats Benteke in the air. The header goes out of play for a throw into Crystal Palace. Inside the Manchester United half, left-hand side as Palace come forward. Van Aanholt prepares to take. Palace have got a tricky run of fixtures at the moment. They Tottenham last time, Manchester United tonight, Chelsea next, Liverpool coming up soon. But they're playing very well so far tonight. Here is Paul Pogba in possession. Left to the midfield for Manchester United, dragging the ball in all sorts of angles with his studs. Then he lays it off short to Alexis Sanchez. Back to Pogba again. They need him to start creating something. Sanchez, MacArthur tries to nibble in on him. Sanchez manages to elude the challenge, but then runs into a bit of a cul-de-sac, and Palace are able to clear it away. Only as far as Valencia on the right-hand side. Manchester United remain in possession. Matic inside the centre circle, back to Smalling. Here is McTominay, 10 yards into the Palace half. Thought about a pass to the right to Valencia, but that route was closed down by Benteke. Here is Matic now in a more central location. Goes past Townsend and gives it out to Ashley Young on the left-hand side. Back 15 yards or so to Pogba, who then lashes a crossfield ball that's asking way too much of Valencia. That's not good enough from Pogba. I mean, OK, if that comes off, it looks a brilliant pass, but it's a very high-risk manoeuvre to ping it 65, 70 yards, and it doesn't find the target, and it goes out for a Crystal Palace throw, and they survive another Manchester United attack.
Fabulous player. I think he's outstanding when he's on form. But that's 4 times now he's given the ball away under no pressure whatsoever, completely unnecessary.
Manchester United, who if they lose tonight, it would be their 3rd straight away defeat, having lost at Tottenham, lost at Newcastle. Jose Mourinho, I think, has only ever had 3 straight defeats once in his career, back in his Chelsea days away from home. Pogba might have been fouled on the far side. Yes, he was. Referee blows the whistle. Milivojevic has tripped Paul Pogba, and that is a free kick to Manchester United, some 15 yards inside the Crystal Palace half.
I mean, apart from the Alexis Sanchez header, Manchester United haven't created a chance, have they? That's the only one of note that I've got that I can remember.
No, I mean, they've hardly had.
I know there was the cross that Hennessy spilled, but there was no one there. Yeah. It wasn't really a chance, was it?
Crystal Palace's defence has been organised. They've not played together many times before. I mean, Martin Kelly's come back in, his first appearance in over a month. Aaron Wan-Bissaka only made his debut last weekend in the Premier League. Pogba again, another completely aimless ball, which he's pinged into the penalty area, sailed over everyone's head, and harmlessly goes out for the goal kick.
Well, I wonder if Mourinho might make a change at half-time. It's just not happening for Pogba. He's getting more and more frustrated every time he gives the ball away. And I think now what's happening is, and again, he's still very, very young. We have to remember this. because he's given it away 3 or 4 times, he's now trying to play an absolute worldie to make up for it. It's very, very difficult.
Trying too hard,
it's very, very difficult in that situation to just simplify things, to just go back to basics and keep it for 5, 6, 10 passes, just little simple ones. Get your confidence back that way. What he's now trying to do, he's now trying to go, actually, look, okay, I might have given it away 3 times, but the 4th one's going to be, oh no, but the 5th one's going to be outstanding, a worldie. Oh, that might be the 7th, and it's a slippery slope.
Here is Lindelof, 10 yards inside the Manchester United half. If you're just tuning our way tonight on 5 Live, maybe you've gone into the car, turned on the radio. Crystal Palace 1, Manchester United 0. And we've got about 7 or 8 minutes to go until half-time. Andros Townsend scored the goal early. Palace have played very well since then. Here's Pogba, who's having a poor game tonight. Just outside the penalty area, lays it backwards to Sanchez. Sanchez tries to give it back into the box to Pogba, who'd made the run and then dramatically falls onto the ground. Referee's not interested in the penalty appeal, and that is a goal kick to Crystal Palace.
In all honesty, I don't think he was looking for a penalty that much. I mean, he got a little bit of a nudge and went down. Then I think he put his hand up for about the pass. It was a decent pass. He just couldn't quite take it in his stride. Didn't really remonstrate with the referee.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka was the defender running back with him. 20 years of age. Because of this long injury list at Palace, he's been thrust into the first team. And he's done very well so far. Just a quick reminder of players unavailable at the moment for Roy Hodgson. Yohan Cabaye, Joel Ward, Wilfried Zaha, Mamadou Sakho, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Julian Speroni, Connor Wickham, Jason Puncheon, Scott Dan. I mean, these are all guys who've been regulars. It's happened again. Another wayward pass. Alexis Sanchez has lashed one way in front of Antonio Valencia, given him no chance to get there. And Crystal Palace say, fine, keep doing that all night.
It's all down to mentality, Connor. Simple as that. When you start sloppy and you come out and you think, you know what, we can just turn up, we're a little bit easy-osy. We haven't got to put 100% effort in to beat this team that are in the bottom 3. And all of a sudden, passes get sloppy. Palace starts to get on top of you, and you give the ball away again, and it's very, very difficult to pick it up.
Sanchez into the penalty area. Van Aanholt gets there ahead of McTominay, back to Alexis Sanchez, but it's MacArthur then who tackles him. United come again, shot from Lingard, and it's wide of the target. And I think Hennessy actually pulled out of the dive at the last minute. He was confident that was not going in.
Yeah, it was well wide in the end. Hennessy, it's 5 or 6 yards wide, nowhere near the goal. But it's always a problem. Maybe at half-time, Mourinho can change something, do something about it, and set them out in the second half and say, look, start fast, try something a little bit different.
You spoke about the mentality. Okay, for Crystal Palace, they've got the carrot here. They've got, in the relegation zone, win, move up to 13.
It's why we get upsets, Connor. Simple as that, because the so-called lesser team with less ability works harder than the opposition.
But for Manchester United, because they know they're not going to catch City, they're confident they're going to be in the Champions League place. Do you think, if they were 2 points behind City, would they be more motivated tonight because they'll think there's more riding on it?
Quite possibly.
Do they feel that it's almost dead rubbers now? They're going to finish in the top 4, but they're not going to win the league.
I said a few weeks ago, Mourinho's written off the league. That's not going to happen, but they're pretty much in the top 4. He can concentrate on things like the Champions League.
Clumsy challenge by McTominay on Van Aanholt, and the referee is coming across, and it's going to be the first yellow card of the game. And Scott McTominay, who he was making every intention. He just, no way was Van Aanholt going past. He just lunged out in front of him to trip him down. And that is a free kick to Palace and a yellow card to McTominay.
I tell you what, he's lucky he's mistimed that so badly. Yeah. The fact he's missed the ball and he's missed the man, and it's his body, his chest really in the end that's caught Van Aanholt. If it had caught him with his leading foot that was a foot and a half off the ground, the referee might have had another different colour card in his hand.
Scott McTominay, who's chosen Scotland for his international football. That was the news this week.
Just quickly before the game stopped, Connor. I think Mourinho probably he's clearly written off the league. He won't say that. He'll say, well, we've still got a chance, we'll still keep pushing, we're not guaranteed in the top 4, whatever that may be. But I think, he is one of the managers that will switch off from the league. And I think that's shown in his players. He's not overly concerned whether they finish 2nd or 3rd. He's now thinking, right, FA Cup, Champions League, that's what we need to focus on. And I think, all his training will be based around that.
Manchester United, who hosts Sevilla in the second leg next week at Old Trafford of that last 16 tie. If they play like they're playing tonight, they'll be in trouble. Here is the Crystal Palace free kick. Milivojevic plays it in, headed by McTominay, who had given away the free kick. Out of the box, controlled by Pogba. He's all flinging arms and shapes and sizes, but he slaloms through 2 challenges, and then he rides another one. Eventually he is fouled, and he's upset there, Pogba, and he thinks that the referee should take further action on Tompkins. Well, that was a bit better from Pogba, and he wins the free kick in the centre circle. Here is Valencia down the right hand side. Again, another pass given away by Manchester United. MacArthur over the halfway line. Benteke jumps, beaten in the air by Smalling. Matic gets challenged and tackled by Jeffrey Schlupp. Those 50-50 battles are going Crystal Palace's way, and they're 1-0 in front. This is MacArthur, 15 yards outside his own penalty area. McTominay applying the pressure. Doing well, McTominay against his future international teammate. Here is Pogba, little step over on the edge of the D. Lays it out to Sanchez. It's behind Sanchez, who turns back into Pogba. Good work by Townsend to get back and tackle on the edge of his penalty area, and Crystal Palace get it away.
Brilliant effort and work rate as well, Crystal Palace. This time Townsend tracking back. I have to say, McTominay is the only player for Manchester United that can come out of this first half so far with any sort of credit. He's the only one putting. He's living on the edge. He's just had another high challenge where he leaped and with a high foot in the air, got to the ball first for anybody else. But he's the only one that looks like he's putting in maximum effort at the moment.
Surlot did well there against Matic, but his pass couldn't find Andros Townsend. I was at Manchester United's last game at Old Trafford. They came from behind to beat Chelsea. That was a game of 2 halves. I mean, a much better performance in the second half. I mean, it's only 1-0, Danny. Can Manchester United come back to win this?
Of course they can. They've got immense quality in their side. Just look at it, Pogba, okay, he's not having a great night so far, but he could score something out of nothing. Lukaku can do that. Sanchez can do that. They've got a number of players in their side that can, somewhere out of nowhere, create or score you a goal.
Here is Benteke after good work again by Schlupp on his return from injury. Benteke tries to glide past Smalling. Good challenge by Smalling, and he keeps it in play for Valencia as well. Alexis Sanchez back on the halfway line. Short pass to McTominay. Time running out here at the end of the first half at Selhurst Park. This is Pogba, who comes over the halfway line. Lays it on towards Lingard. Good lunge again by Martin Kelly. And again, Palace are making those interceptions look easy at the moment. And just as Surlot thought he was away on a counter-attack, the referee's whistle is blown, and it comes back for a tug on the shirt, and it's a free kick to Manchester United on the halfway line. Surlot thought he was in.
Not an awful lot in that. Just puts a hand on Nemanja Matic.
Just watching the referee's reaction there, I missed the 4th official holding up the board. Not sure what's been added on here for stoppages at the end of the first half as Martin Kelly heads the ball away out towards the edge of the penalty area. MacArthur puts a big boot in it. There's been a clash of heads. I think it's Ashley Young. He's one of the players. 2 players down, lying on the ground inside the penalty area. Milivojevic is the Crystal Palace player. 1 minute is being added on for stoppages here at the end of the first half. And Milivojevic and Young are both going to need some treatment, and this is just going to delay things. By the way, coming up at half-time, an extended interview with Bradley Wiggins after the MP's report earlier on today saying that he and Team Sky crossed an ethical line. Extended interview with Bradley Wiggins coming up very shortly on 5 Live. But Danny Mills, this is a chance to sum up this first half. Andros Townsend's goal after 11 minutes. And Crystal Palace, realising this is a glorious opportunity, have upped their game and have remained consistent right the way through to half-time.
Well, the physios running on there have just summed it up. Palace were faster out of the blocks. They were quicker, they were sharper, and they got there first.
So just to paint the picture for the listeners, you've got a player for each team down injured. The Palace physios were right there in seconds, and the Manchester United physios only getting there now.
And I think the Palace guy that was in second, behind the Manchester United guy, it was Palace guy out in front with a rucksack on his back, even overtook one of the Manchester United physios. But Palace have worked harder. They've been on the front foot from the very, very start. Got a massive slice of luck when Andros Townsend hit the back of Lindelof and it sort of looped into the top corner. David De Gea, absolutely no chance. Manchester United have been disappointing. Attitude hasn't been brilliant. They've been sloppy, given the ball away numerous times. This is about work rate and desire. Manchester United, do they have more quality? Yes.
Look at the size of the backpack that the physio had on. By the way, Mourinho's on the way out to the tunnel already. This enormous backpack. That was proper speed, by the way.
But that sort of sums up the whole of Crystal Palace and what they are about at the moment. They're working harder. hard work will always beat talent if talent doesn't work hard, and that's all it's coming down to at the moment.
Mourinho's almost in the tunnel already. Play continuing as Valencia hoops it clear. Lukaku easily beaten by Tompkins in the air. This is Jeffrey Schlupp, low ball up towards Benteke. In nips Antonio Valencia to win it back again. Pogba inside the centre circle. There can only be seconds remaining here. We're into the 1 minute when that injury delay. And Mourinho's now reached the mouth of the tunnel, just glancing back over his shoulder to watch what's happening on the pitch as the referee, Neil Swarbrick, does blow the whistle for half-time. So Crystal Palace in front. If it stays like this, they're moving up to 13th in the Premier League tonight and leaving all that relegation battle below them. As it stands for now, Crystal Palace 1, Manchester United 0.
Perfect 45 minutes for Crystal Palace, Danny Mills, and they've got fans and players working together and feeding off each other.
Never changes, chappers. Whatever it is, if you work hard, fans will forgive almost anything. They'll forgive you missing an open goal. They'll forgive you letting the ball run under your foot. If you give everything, that's all you can ask. Simple as that. Can you say Manchester United have given absolutely everything? I'm not sure you can. And I think that's because they're a product of their manager at the moment. I'm not convinced he really cares about the league and their position. Second, third, fourth, he's not overly concerned. He'd much rather do well in the Champions League. And if that's what he's portraying around the training ground, you know, and in going into games.
But that's their strongest team out there, arguably. So it's not as if he's playing a weakened team in the league. No, he's
not. But it comes down to simply their attitude. Palace are working harder than Manchester United at the moment. Now, why is that? Manchester United have better training facilities, probably have more sports scientists, have all that sort of stuff. So they're as fit, they're as strong, they're probably bigger, more powerful, they've got quicker players. So there is no excuse. You know, anybody can work hard. You know, okay, all those athletes out there, my son's probably driving back listening to this, probably whacking the steering wheel, swearing all sorts at the moment. But, you know, anybody can work hard. You can teach people to keep running. That's about attitude. That's all it's about. You can't. Ability is something completely different. But when ability doesn't work hard, you get a performance like Manchester United. Pogba's kicked the ball out of play 3 times, given it away 4 times. Well, really, really poor.
90% of the passes that have been aimed at Valencia have been closer to me than they have been to the Manchester United captain.
And I'm not even playing out there.
Danny Mills on 5 Live Sport, 10 to 9. Let's hear more of the BBC's interview with Sir Bradley Wiggins now. His first is being accused of crossing the ethical line whilst riding for Team Sky. The departure for Culture, Media and Sport released their report earlier today. BBC Sport editor Dan Rowan put some of those findings to him.
The MPs say, we believe this powerful corticosteroid was used to prepare you for the Tour de France, the purpose not to treat medical need, but to improve power-to-weight ratio ahead of the race. You benefited, they say, from the performance-enhancing qualities of the drug during the race.
But what do they base that on?
Well, is it true?
Well, it's not true at all, no. As I've said to you, there was medical need for it. This was about bringing me back to a level playing field so I can compete at the highest level. I'd done all season up to that point.
Most people, almost everybody, seems to agree that triamcinolone is also performance enhancing. Do you not accept that there must be a performance enhancing element to using that drug? We know that it means that you shed weight without loss of power.
Yeah, but a lot of that period was about me maintaining weight, so it certainly wasn't used. I was already at race weight at the Dauphiné. Why would I jeopardise that by taking more? I mean, this was about me having a problem, going to the team doctors, flagging this problem, and then them seeking a way of treating it. It wasn't, under no circumstances throughout my career was this ever used or suggested or that it would be a performance enhancing. It wasn't about that.
But you must have heard the noise around the drug from other riders, and therefore did you not acknowledge...
I've been involved in cycling my whole life.
Indeed. So you knew there was a risk in taking it, that it could...
Well, the rules at the time, under the, in the application of a TUE, this isn't us going into a chemist and saying, I'll have that. There was a process to go through. You go and see a specialist, you have a specialist report, it goes to the UCI. They then decide, their panel decide whether you're granted this TUE or not. And until that application comes back and I'm granted it, it's like, I can take that medication.
But they quote a well-placed, well-respected but anonymous source, the committee, who tells them that a small group of riders, including yourself, all used corticosteroids to lean down in preparation for races. Is that not true?
No, not at all.
100% not true?
100% not true. That's a complete fabricated, malicious allegation, and I don't know what the motive is behind that. Small group of riders, yeah, I mean, what's criminal about training in a small group of riders? We were the Tour de France team. We'd go and train at altitude. Most teams do that. They still do that today.
But the allegation that matters is the fact that you were taking this drug to lean down, to lose weight.
No, not at all. Absolutely not.
On reflection, do you regret taking the drug now?
I mean, it's 7 years ago. That was the treatment at that time prescribed for that.
You took it in 11, 12,
13. Yeah. So that were the rules at the time that you were permitted to take that drug, and I was granted permission to do that by the governing bodies at that time.
On reflection, though.
Well, it's easy to think now with cognitive bias and everything and all this that has happened now. It's easy to sit here and go, yeah, I regret it. I mean, it's happened. I can't turn the clock back.
Would you have won without it? The Tour de France in 2020?
Well, had I had an asthma attack? No, probably not. No.
So sitting here now, Sir Brad, you can categorically say that you didn't cheat?
100%.
You didn't abuse the TUE system?
Never throughout my career, no. I worked and had the passion I've had for this sport for 15, 20 years to do that to the sport. I mean, it's just absurd. These allegations, I mean, it's the worst thing to be accused of. I've said that before. But it's also the hardest thing to prove you haven't done, because we're not dealing in a legal system. I'd have had more rights if I'd murdered someone in this process. I've been gagged for the last 18 months because there was a legal investigation going on, so I couldn't say anything. Then I was still waiting on this DCMS report. I've never been asked, or these allegations have never been put to me before until now. I've only found out today what I'm actually being accused of. I mean, the whole Jiffy bag thing was just a shambles.
What was in the Jiffy bag?
God knows. Your guess is as good as mine.
You're a world-class athlete, right?
Right, but Dan, let me just tell you something. I was doing the Dauphiné. I was leading the Dauphiné. I won the Dauphiné. The first time I became aware of a package was when the Daily Mail contacted me in October of 2016. But the way it's reported, or the way it has been reported, it's as if I've ordered this package and I'm waiting for DHL to deliver it to me. Now, the innuendo of that allegation was that there was an injection done in the back of the bus in front of 12 other people that no one else mysteriously didn't see. I mean, we would have been breaking the rules had we done that.
Was there no injection then?
No, absolutely not. We travelled 6 hours later to Sestriere on a training camp at high altitude where the doctor came and I was treated that evening with Flumicil in a nebulizer. The doctor came with us to Sestriere to then treat the riders, whatever they needed, any niggles.
Which doctor was that?
Dr. Freeman.
So why didn't you say this before then? There was nothing. Why didn't you say before there was nothing administered that evening?
Before when?
Well, until now.
I haven't been able to say anything because there was an investigation going on based on that package and the Daily Mail article that was written about that package. So UKAD opened the investigation based on the back of that Daily Mail article. Matt Lawton asked me those questions before he wrote the article, and I said exactly what I've said to you. I knew nothing about the package until you have now told me it. I didn't know the contents of it. I didn't even know there was a package until I was asked about it. And then obviously, since that investigation was open, which took 12 months to conclude, 13 months to conclude, I couldn't, for not wanting to jeopardise the investigation that was going on.
So what happened to the... I believe you've told the committee that you don't know what was in the package.
Well, I don't. But Augusta's as good as mine. I didn't even know if there was a package.
You don't even know if there was a package, okay.
I mean, it's become such a... I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. It's become such a furore and a mess.
But we've been told...
obviously, what didn't help was all the things that came with the start of that package. You know, people trying to...
Sure, yeah.
You know, it's been just pouring petrol on it. Someone was supposed to be somewhere else. Someone was supposed to be here. I mean, it
doesn't look good, does it?
No, of course it doesn't. It's ludicrous.
Isn't that because it was triamcinolone and you were injected with it that evening?
Well, that's not on me. At the end of the day, the butt stops with me. You know, I'm the athlete here. I've just won the biggest pre-tour race. I'm not going to break the rules by injecting. When 2 weeks later, I had a piece of paper to say I could do it legally. So that's, no rules were broken.
So there was a TUE applied for?
Not at that point, no. No.
At the end of May, there was an application for a TUE for triamcinolone. It wasn't granted until...
Yeah, it wasn't granted till...
So when did you have that one then?
The which one?
The one that was applied for at that time?
It was 6 days before the Tour de France. I mean, had I had that injection when the innuendo was that I did, I won the National Road Race the week later. It would have shown in my urine at the National Road Race. I got tested there.
You can't sit here and say you didn't get a performance enhancement from it. I don't think it's possible for you to say that with any certainty. Regardless of whether you say that your intention was to have it for medical reasons.
I think that's the key, intention. I mean, whether there was or wasn't, I don't know. You know, I can't sit here and say that. I won every bike race up to that point. I'd won every time trial that season, and I continued that pattern through the Tour de France. And it wasn't me coming out of the blue, and all of a sudden, where did that come from? This was me on an 18-month progression, working towards this objective, and this, this wasn't. I mean, intention. I think that's the key to it. Yeah. Was there a performance enhancement? You tell me there was. According to there may well have been, but they were the rules at the time. And to treat this problem, that's what I was prescribed. I can't change the last 5 years.
So Bradley Wiggins with BBC Sports. Dan Rowan, plenty of reaction to that interview on the Bespoke podcast from 10 o'clock tonight here on 5 Live. It's coming up to 9 o'clock. Here's the latest BBC News.
On digital, online, smartphone and tablet, this is BBC 5 Live.
With the BBC News on 5 Live, I'm Richard Foster. A former Russian agent is critically ill after an apparent poisoning in Wiltshire. Sergei Skripal and a woman were found unconscious on a bench in Salisbury yesterday. The A&E department at the city's district hospital had to be closed earlier for decontamination. Cara Charles-Barks is its chief executive.
We have declared a major incident today in response to the incident that took place yesterday. I can confirm that they're currently being treated here at Salisbury District Hospital and that their condition does remain critical.
Theresa May has announced a shake-up of England's housing rules to try to make it easier for people who don't have access to the bank of mum and dad. The Prime Minister says builders may not be granted planning permission if they hold on to land instead of developing it. Thousands of people across Wales and South East England are waiting for their water supplies to return to normal. The thaw in the weather has caused burst pipes and leaks. Our correspondent Stephen Chittenden is at St Mary's Nursing and Residential Home in Tooting.
This part of South London is still without water, and it's been the case here for several hours, several days. One of the directors here has got hold of a pickup truck and is bringing in water in tanks, 1-ton water tanks, and they've rigged up some pumps in the car park and they're pumping water from these tanks into the care home's reserve tanks.
More than 22,000 properties on Teesside are without electricity after a suspected explosion at a substation. Cleveland Fire Brigade says it was called just before 7 this evening. Nobody's been hurt, but large areas of Saltburn, Redcar and Hartlepool are affected. Humanitarian aid has reached Eastern Ghouta in Syria. A convoy's arrived in the suburb of Damascus, carrying supplies for 27,000 people. Around 400,000 people are trapped there. And a man has been arrested on suspicion of stealing Frances McDormand's Oscar after last night's awards ceremony. Police say they detained Terry Bryant after the statuette went missing from the Governor's Ball. He's been bailed and the prize has now been returned.
This is BBC 5 Live on digital, online, smartphone and tablet.
On the roads, M4 westbound in Gloucestershire is closed at the moment for barrier repairs. It's all between junction 18 at Bath and Tomerton and junction 19 at the M32. There's a diversion in operation there. And in Shropshire on the westbound M54, an accident means that one lane's currently closed. Slow traffic between junction 3 at Albrighton and junction 4 at Shifnal. Richard Foster, 5 Live Travel.
5 Live Breakfast.
Let's go to Hollywood.
Gary Oldman is speaking.
For an actor playing Winston Churchill, it's like Lear or Falstaff or something. It's as epic as that.
It's clear how much this means to you. Why does it matter so much?
I turned it down for a year and I was fearful because he's arguably the greatest Briton, so it was sort of rather daunting. And to win the Academy Award for playing Winston Churchill is just like, it's made all the more special.
Gary Oldman, thank you very much for speaking to us in 5 Live Breakfast.
Brilliant. Well, he was the big one. He was the one we wanted.
Just a wonderful actor.
5 Live Breakfast. Back tomorrow from 6. This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
Bespoke at 10 on 5 Live, then with more reaction to the Sir Bradley Wiggins news today. Just looking across social media and the text and the tweets you're sending in to describe Manchester United in that first half: shambles, aimless dross, rubbish, garbage. Bearded Genius on Twitter, who is a Manchester United fan, has tweeted, if this Palace team were replaced with 11 cones and United had to score a goal with one touch passing, but they weren't allowed to hit a cone or let the ball go out of play, then they would struggle. Do you think? Well, it already looks like Jose Mourinho will make one change. Marcus Rashford has sprinted out of the tunnel. He is stripped and ready to go. Crystal Palace have been out for a couple of minutes. We're waiting for the rest of the Manchester United team to come out. Here are Danny Mills and Conor McNamara.
Yeah, the Manchester United team, apart from Rashford, are all huddled in the tunnel and they're not coming out yet. Jose Mourinho, who departed at the end of the first half and was standing at the tunnel by the time the half-time whistle blew, he's already in the dugout sitting down, and now his team will come back onto the pitch. So Rashford, we'll just find out who he'll be coming on to replace in just a moment. But Manchester United need to do much, much better. I mentioned in the commentary at the end of the first half how they turned it all around against Chelsea last time. They came from 1-0 down and they won the game at Old Trafford, but can they do it again, Danny Mills?
This is where we find out how much the league and this game means to Mourinho. If he really wants to win this game, he will have gone berserk in that changing room at half-time. You know, whether it be teacup thrown or whatever. You know, he would have told them a few home truths and pointed it out. So we will see the reaction. The first 5-10 minutes of this second half, if Manchester United react well, start at a much higher tempo, then possibly Mourinho does care about the league.
So back underway. The player who's gone off to allow Rashford on, by the way, interesting, Scott McTominay from midfield, who's made way. So Lingard, Rashford, Lukaku, Sanchez, all in attack for Manchester United, who need a couple of goals here if they are to turn this around to get the 3 points and to move back ahead of Liverpool, ahead of those two meeting in the league at the weekend. Just when Chappers was reading out the tweet there about Manchester United, if they were just cones on the ground, it reminded me of a story that the World Cup in Brazil. Remember, Brazil were playing terribly in their own World Cup, and a Brazilian said to me, you know, I'd prefer to have a stick in the ground playing up front rather than Fred, because at least the ball might hit the stick and go in, which was the praise that he could give. Here is Lindelof. I'll give you full rundown of the teams in just a moment, but Manchester United, they're just off-white, steel grey shirts, playing from right to left as we look down. And they'll want their passing to be much more accurate in the second half. But Alexis Sanchez gives away possession on the halfway line. Sørloth will control. Sanchez is trying to win it back again. Sørloth tries to go through Chris Smalling, which is easier said than done, and Smalling comes away with possession. Now Alexis Sanchez got a bit of room here. Right hand side, lashes the ball across the field from right to left, controlled on the instep by Marcus Rashford. His first touch of the ball since coming on. Electric into the penalty, brilliant from Rashford. Good recovery from Wan-Bissaka just as Marcus Rashford was about to pull the trigger, and there was more menace in that attack from Rashford than Manchester United produced in the entire first half, as Benteke here goes down under a challenge from Smalling, and the referee says play on. Has the tide turned just a little bit here? Manchester United creating a chance, and Benteke not getting the free kick there, Danny.
Well, let's just wait and see in the next 5 or 10 minutes, you know, once it sort of starts to settle down, see if Manchester United can keep up the intensity and the pressure. But again, it's easy. He would have said to Rashford, right, you've been knocking on my door, you want to be in the first team, go out there and prove it. And Rashford has to take that responsibility now. We know what he's good at. We know he's good at running with the ball. We know he's good at dribbling. So when he picks the ball
free
up,
kick taken quickly. Van Arnold's into the penalty area here. Scores! 2-0 to Crystal Palace. Quick thinking, quick free kick. Manchester United dozing and punished. And it's Patrick Van Arnold's first goal of the season. Jose Mourinho is furious. Any ideas of a bright start to the second half? Well, Manchester United have been rocked back on their heels. Crystal Palace 2, Manchester United 0. That was all about quick thinking.
Clearly onside. Mourinho is absolutely furious. Not sure if that's directed at his players or if that's at the referee, maybe the free kick. I mean, De Gea's probably got no chance. It gets done at the near post. But Van Aanholt's got so much time to think about it. In the end, he just sidesput it. I mean, it's an inch away from the post. I don't think there's too much De Gea can do in that situation. He's left very, very exposed. But Manchester United players just caught sleep. I think it was Small on the far side, tried to play offside, put his hand up. Just run back, chase people. And what we thought we might get a reaction, Connor, sorry. Well, absolutely brilliant news for Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace 2, Manchester United 0, and Selhurst Park is absolutely rocking. Van Aanholt did so well. It was one of those, Danny, he almost had too much time to think about it. He ran from well outside the penalty area into the box, and in the back of his mind he must have been thinking, oh, I wish this was any other goalkeeper than David De Gea, and yet he tucked it beyond him.
It's a really cool, good finish in the end. Seen lots of strikers miss from that sort of situation. I mean, absolutely magnificent for Palace. Fantastic start to both halves.
Sanchez here tries to dig it out to Valencia on the far side, but once again the attempted pass is intercepted, and we've said that a multitude of times in this game so far. The passing accuracy rates have been poor from Jose Mourinho's team. Smalling to Pogba in the centre circle. Suddenly it's a 2-goal deficit. Townsend in the first half, Van Aanholt in the second half. Crystal Palace leading Manchester United by 2-0 and set to move up to 13th place to go from the relegation zone well up into mid-table if they get these 3 points tonight. Young on the left-hand side, back to Alexis Sanchez. Good challenge by Andros Townsend. Then it's drilled in on target by Pogba, but from a mile out and saved in front of his face by Wayne Hennessy.
Good strike from distance, but I mean, he's got to get a bit close. That was what, 30 plus yards out. But Palace are doing exactly the same. Andros Townsend just a moment ago, chasing one player, then the next, then the next. Okay, didn't quite get there, but it just gives everybody else around you a lift. And well, actually, if he's prepared to do that, I can work hard as well. And it sets the tone of the whole game of Crystal Palace.
Andros Townsend has worked really hard tonight. Jeffrey Schlupp just back from injury. He's worked really hard. Wonder if he'll be able to last the full 90 minutes. Here is Martin Kelly at the back for Palace. Loops one over the top. I think Schlupp might have been offside anyway had it gone to him, but it sails over. And that'll be a throw into Manchester United right full-back position for them.
Well, so do we now get a reaction from Manchester United? I don't see it. I don't see the body language. Didn't see it in the first half. Just don't see them giving absolutely everything to get back into this game.
Throw in for Manchester United, taken by Antonio Valencia, the right full-back position, comes right back towards him. Smalling jumps up and wins the header. Surlot tries to put pressure on Valencia. The ball does go out of play. That's a throw into Palace, and they've got it in the Manchester United half. Immediately given away though. Antonio Valencia clears high up over the halfway line. Jumping header by James Tompkins, down into the ground, controlled by MacArthur. Prods it over the top. Surlot will go and chase. Cross comes Smalling to try and keep tabs on him. Surlot gets there first. He's got his back to goal. He's out by the corner flag, and he's challenged by Antonio Valencia, and Manchester United regain the ball. Now can they launch a counter-attack, the visitors? Pogba with long strides comes over the halfway line, rolls it in front of Marcus Rashford, who steps into the penalty area, tries to go around Wan-Bissaka, gets to the byline. Wan-Bissaka doesn't give up the ghost. It'll be a corner to Manchester United on the left-hand side.
You know, Palace have just got to keep it tight now for the next 10 minutes, not concede. You know, if they can do that, weather this little mini storm from Manchester United, got a great chance of going on and getting all 3 points.
Rashford takes the corner from the left towards the back post and bundled just off target by Chris Smalling. Good corner delivery by Rashford. Smalling, that's as close as Manchester United have come to a goal in the game. Tompkins did just enough to put him off.
I think it might have been given as a foul as well. Smalling climbing all over the back of him. But if United score in the next 5-10 minutes or so, Palace will get jittery. They will get very, very nervous in this situation. But I mean, so the only person you can feel sorry for tonight is Ian Wright. Because if Palace do win this, it won't be, oh, last time Palace beat Manchester United, Ian Wright scored. Sorry, Wrighty, but I'm sure he won't mind.
Back in the days of Ian Wright and John Salako, it's a long time ago that they've waited for a Premier League win against Manchester United. Crystal Palace, but 2-0 they now lead. And you can just imagine supporters of Southampton and Newcastle, Huddersfield, West Ham, teams like that tuning into this commentary. I think, oh come on, really, Manchester United? You're gonna bow down and let Crystal Palace win by 2-0 and move out of the relegation trouble for now. This is Alexis Sanchez controlling on his chest midway inside his own half. Lingard plays it into space. Forward comes Antonio Valencia, still 10 yards inside his own half. Manchester United have to work quite hard here just to break out of their own territory. Valencia eventually with a good accurate ball to Pogba, steadies himself, shoots, comes off Martin Kelly and goes out for another corner. Corner to Manchester United, left hand side. They trail by 2-0 at Crystal Palace.
I don't mind Pogba making mistakes if he's going to have this sort of attitude. You know, there was a run 3 or 4 minutes ago where he burst forward, striding with the ball 30-40 yards.
Rashford's last delivery was good. It's not quite as effective. It's headed away. Comes out to Antonio Valencia, 10 yards outside the penalty area. Van Arnold stands up in front of him. Good ball in. Smalling's header, and it's in, and it's a 1 goal back. 2-1 at Selhurst Park. Chris Smalling with the header. Just his second goal of the season. The 6'4" defender unmarked as the cross came back in. And Manchester United have got themselves back into contention. They still trail. Crystal Palace 2, Manchester United 1.
I think it's Tompkins, is it? Plays everybody onside. Everybody comes out from the corner, but it's James Tompkins that sits in deep. Smalling's free at the far post. Behind him is Paul Pogba as well. Either could have headed that into the back of the net. That's just lack of concentration from Palace.
Now Rashford wins possession, does a Cristiano Ronaldo style chop to try and get some room wide in the wing on the left side. Then he comes jeering infield but gives it away straight to Van Arnold. It's cleared away by Wan-Bissaka as far as he can up over the halfway line. Header won by Benteke, controlled by Sørloth, and MacArthur back down on the deck to Wan-Bissaka again, who's now midway inside the Manchester United half, attacking the edge of the penalty area, manages to hook it across. De Gea was uncertain and it almost flew into the top corner. It was certainly not meant to be a shot. It was a cross that started to dip, and De Gea with his fingertips pushes it out for a corner.
Not sure whether it would have gone in. It might have hit the crossbar, but De Gea couldn't take that chance. Almost got very, very lucky, but he's hardly had anything to do this evening. I mean, 2 shots, 3 shots, and 2 of them have gone in.
Luka Milivojevic has gone across to place the ball for the corner. 2-1 at Selhurst Park to Crystal Palace on 5 Live. Here comes the delivery in swinging. Smalling, who scored the goal down the other end as the man who heads it away to Sanchez. Now, can Manchester United counter-attack quickly? Lingard on the halfway line. They're taking their time about it here, allowing Palace to get their defenders back. Lingard with a good pass, though, to Ashley Young on the left-hand side. This is a crossing position. Sends it in towards the back post. Alexis Sanchez was there, had a very good header away. Only to Antonio Valencia. His scuff shot is cleared away by Tompkins. Only to Young. Manchester United come again. This is Matic from a long way out. Drills in the shot. Comes off Aaron Wan-Bissaka and goes out for another corner to Manchester United. It's a good second half, this.
And that goal has made all the difference for Manchester United. Suddenly they're thinking, actually, now we can get back in this. Let's start putting them, Crystal Palace, under a little bit more pressure.
Undoubtedly, Rashford has made a difference. Here's his delivery from the corner. Comes off the upper thigh of Lukaku, who's had a quiet second half, actually. And MacArthur is fouled by Ashley Young. It's a deliberate foul. It's a yellow card for the left back. And a free kick to Crystal Palace.
And this is what Crystal Palace need. They just need to calm things down a little bit. Take their time at every set piece, throw in. Anytime they can just kill the tempo of the game, just to reassess the situation, just regroup a little bit. They've been playing incredibly well up till now. That one moment, pure lack of concentration. James Tompkins left himself deeper than everybody else, and that allowed Smalling a completely free header.
If you're just joining our coverage here tonight on 5 Live, Crystal Palace 2, Manchester United 1. Townsend and Van Arnold for Palace, who were 2-0 up. Smalling has recently pulled one back. There's still a long way to go. Matic at the edge of his own penalty area rolls it to David De Gea, right-footed clearance. He's going to go out of play on the far side, so that returns possession to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, who've put in good performances here against the big boys this season. They beat Chelsea 2-1 here. Remember when Manchester City came here and they nearly beat them? They had that late penalty saved by Edison, and that would have been the first time Manchester City were beaten in the league this season. But that game finished 0-0. So they've taken points off Chelsea, they've taken points off Manchester City, and for the moment Crystal Palace still in front here tonight against Manchester United. Victor Lindelof rolls it back to De Gea, right-footed clearance straight down the middle. Milivojevic jumps with Sanchez, and is fouled by Sanchez, and that's a free kick bang on the centre circle to Crystal Palace, who take it quickly to Jeffrey Schlupp, left of centre of midfield. He's balled forward, deflects up into the air off Lingard. Nemanja Matic gets it down on the deck for Manchester United, forward to Lukaku. Tompkins comes lunging in behind him. Lukaku tries to switch it out to Rashford on the near side, but cut out by Wan-Bissaka, and Andros Townsend is away. Storming run down the right hand side, Pogba trying to keep up with him. Wan-Bissaka in support, just a few yards now from the byline on the right hand side. Sells a little dummy, back to Townsend. He's on his left boot here on the edge of the penalty area. Scoops it over into space for Schlupp. It was a bit overstruck, but Schlupp's been able to control it. Turns now to face the penalty area again. Left edge, sends it in, headed down by Matic, cleared away by Lingard, and Manchester United are able to clear their lines but not hold on to the ball. And here comes Aaron Wan-Bissaka once again. Been really impressed with him on only his second Premier League appearance. Here he is on the ball again, rolls it under his studs, sends in the cross, looking for Benteke, cleared away by Smalling, controlled by Lingard, midway inside his own half. He's got Pogba on his shoulder. Pogba goes long and searching and trying to get in over the top of Tompkins. Sanchez is in chase. Tompkins commits himself, and it's going to be a free kick to Palace, and Sanchez adjudged to have fouled the central defender, and a free kick to Crystal Palace.
Not convinced about that. Brilliant ball this time from Paul Pogba. 50-yard raking pass over the top. I mean, Sanchez starts to get his body in. Tompkins throws himself at it. I think it's 50-50.
The assistant was right beside that, and just looking at the replay, Sanchez is looking at the opponent. He's not looking at the ball. But
Tompkins dives in to try and get and he doesn't get the ball either. So I think sometimes you just got to say, no, play on.
Yeah. Well, in the old days, that's just a shoulder charge, isn't it? As Hennessy takes the free kick from the edge of the Palace penalty area, launches it long into the Manchester United half. Benteke can't make it stick, though, and Antonio Valencia clears away. Tompkins wins a header, down for Milivojevic. Here is Van Aanholt, one of the Crystal Palace goal scorers tonight. Sørloth's offside, runs onto it anyway. Flag eventually is raised. Free kick to Manchester United.
Yeah, eventually raised, because it's one of those ridiculous laws where the linesman doesn't put his flag up until he becomes active or touches the ball. Everybody knows that he's offside, just waiting for the flag to go up.
This could be a very important, pivotal night for Roy Hodgson. He's 28th game in charge of Crystal Palace. He's only had 7 victories before tonight in all competitions. This would be such a notable one, though, if it can move his team out of the relegation zone and all the way up to 13th, moving ahead of Southampton, Newcastle, Huddersfield, West Ham. And they would go ahead of, well, would they go ahead of Swansea? No, they've got one, they'd be level in goal difference. They need to check the goals scored. But when they were 2-0 up, they would have gone above Swansea for sure. Here is Smalling, low along the ground to Lukaku. Tompkins got close to him. Lukaku lays it back to Sanchez, and been told they would go above Swansea with a 2-1 win. Here is MacArthur onto Sørloth, who's 7 or 8 yards inside the Manchester United half, turns and rolls it back to Andros Townsend in the centre circle, and now back to Patrick Van Aanholt.
Yeah, scored 2 more goals, Connor.
Yeah, so they would go ahead of them on goals scored with the same goal difference. So up to 13th tonight with a win of any variety now, having scored the 2 goals tonight. This is MacArthur, good ball to Schlupp, turns 5 yards outside the penalty area. Here's Van Aanholt in the box, tries to cut it back, and David De Gea came out to grab it.
I think he was trying to stand it up to the far post to Sørloth, couldn't quite get his foot underneath it.
Pogba rolls one in front of Rashford. Wan-Bissaka committed himself in the penalty area, wins the tackle, wins the ball, and clears it away. He is playing with adrenaline pumping in his veins and so much confidence.
Fabulous tackle.
Yeah,
but again, living on, like you said, living on the edge. And this is what Palace have done all night. They've taken risks. Going forward and defensively.
Townsend into the penalty area on his right boot, tries to cut it back, controlled on the chest of Matic. There was some muted appeals, he might have handled it. Play on, says the referee. Lingard heads it down for Pogba. Manchester United trying to play their way out of trouble. Crystal Palace 2, Manchester United 1. Lingard makes up 30, now 40 yards, well over the halfway line, leaves the ball behind him. has the wherewithal to turn, get it, and short to Lukaku. And now Sanchez, 10 yards outside the penalty area. Little nudge by Milivojevic. Play on, says the referee. Matic back out to the left wing where Rashford is waiting for it. Stands almost motionless, now bursts into life. Twists one way and the other. Gets around Townsend. Infield to Paul Pogba, just outside the tee. Manchester United have a lot of options here. Lots of defenders back. Scooped into the penalty area. Pogba jumps, nowhere near it. Falls to the ground, and Hennessy gathers possession.
Yeah, an awkward one for Pogba. It's almost like he was trying to get above the defender and chest it down. Nothing he could really do. Wasn't a foul. Mourinho, I think, is now going to make at least a couple of substitutions by the looks of it. A little bit of activity down the bench. If I was Roy Hodgson, I'd be tempted also to make a couple of changes. One or two players, Milivojevic, just looking a little bit weary, a little bit tired. They've put an awful lot of effort closing down Manchester United. Just get on some fresh legs now while you're still in front. Keep that momentum going.
Remember, no Wilfried Zaha tonight, and Crystal Palace have not won in the league this season without their talisman. 8 league games he's missed before tonight, Wilfried Zaha, and they have lost all 8 of them. But here they've got a 2-1 lead, and it looks like Luke Shaw will be one of the players being brought on. He's being prepared inside the technical area, but not until after this free kick.
I think Juan Mata as well was getting stripped.
Milivojevic is standing over it. Manchester United with all 11 back behind the ball, most of them lined up along the edge of the penalty area. Milivojevic just stabs it into the box. Good leap by Smalling to win the header, but Sørloth is going to pick it up just outside the box on the right-hand side. Crystal Palace on the attack, leading 2-1 at home in the Premier League against Manchester United. Manchester United, who will miss out on the chance of going back into second place. They will remain behind Liverpool if they lose here. Here comes Townsend, lovely little change of direction. Runs into Pogba. Play on, says the referee. Schlupp gives it out wide left to Van Aanholt. Now he'll stab it back into the centre. Benteke's header is wide. 3-4 yards wide. Good leap. Couldn't get the header on target.
The perfect ball in for Benteke. Just a little clip, little angled ball towards the far post. Gets well above Smalling. Just doesn't quite get his timing right, and it scoots off the side of his head and drifts 3 or 4 yards wide.
The last 28 times that Manchester United have been behind in a Premier League game at half-time, they have not come back to win any of them. They've come from 2-0 down here to 2-1. But for Jose Mourinho's team, there is still a lot of work to do here, and we've got 25 minutes or so remaining. This is Benteke scooping it onto Sørloth. Lindelof's challenge will give the ball to Rashford, and it is Mata and Shaw who are standing and stretching on the edge of the pitch, ready to come on.
I think he might go 3 at the back, perhaps.
This is Lukaku, edge of the D, sits up for Pogba. No angle for a shot, though. Rolls it out to Valencia on the right-hand side. 3 waiting in the penalty area. Valencia gives it back to Pogba. Shoots and saved by Hennessy out for a corner.
Comfortable save in the end, I think. As it comes into Pogba, it's a side foot towards the near post. It's bending in towards the keeper. It's a save that you certainly expect him to make.
Okay, Antonio Valencia is going off anyway.
And Ashley Young.
So both fullbacks. So Shaw will slot in on the left-hand side of the defence. Mata will come on. Let's have a look at where he's going to go, but taking the place of Antonio Valencia. Luke Shaw, his 14th appearance this season in the Premier League. His 14th appearance in all competitions.
It's got to be
6th in the Premier League.
He's got to go 3 at the back. Shaw, Lindelof and Smalling.
Here comes the corner into a busy penalty area. Cleared away by Andros Townsend, who's worked so hard tonight. So at the moment, Smalling's drifting over towards that right-hand side of the defence. Just going to have a look and see. Actually, Matic is back there at the moment in a sort of right defensive position, but he won't stay there for long. This is Lindelof. And now to Shaw, who's certainly operating on the left. Crystal Palace 2, Manchester United 1 on 5 Live.
Yeah, it's 3 at the back. Shaw, Lindelof in the middle, Smalling on the right. I think Lingard's playing as a right wing back.
Here's
Rashford playing as a left wing back.
Just outside the penalty area, trying to nudge it in, but Van Aanholt is there. And for the first time tonight, a sense of anywhere will do for Palace, who've played their way to trouble all night, but now they're just clearing it away. This is Rashford crossing from the left-hand side, cleared away by Tompkins. Sørloth tries to control under pressure from Smalling. Free kick given for a foul on Smalling. Free kick to Manchester United. They've an urgency now, they want to get on with it. The referee makes them go back though and take it from the right place. Pogba does so, gives it to Shaw on the left-hand side. So, change of formation from Jose Mourinho, but can it reap the rewards? Another free kick given, this time for a foul on Pogba by Milivojevic. Closer to the penalty area now, but still outside of shooting range. Rashford, whose set-piece deliveries have been good since he's come on, he's come across to place it. And now, of course, Manchester United have got Mata in the team as well, which gives them an extra dynamism in this sort of position. Both coaches standing in the technical area. Mourinho.
It's a very high line, Connor, on the edge of the 18-yard box. The ball's only 10 yards outside that.
Rashford plays it in and goes for goal, and he was trying to catch out Hennessy, and he puts it 2 or 3 yards wide. So the free kick was wide on the left, and we were all anticipating a cross towards the far post, and he tried to catch the goalkeeper out of the near post, and he put it wide.
To cause the goalkeeper any sort of problem, he's had to hit that absolutely perfect with a tremendous amount of pace, and unfortunately for him he didn't. He just scuffed it a little bit.
Before tonight, Palace had only ever scored 3 times in the Premier League against Manchester United here at Sellers Park. Tonight they have scored twice, Townsend and Van Aanholt, and will it be enough to hold on for the win? Because Smalling's goal back for Manchester United have made things very interesting now. Here he is, Chris Smalling, inside the penalty, chests it down for himself. Some of the crowd appealing he might have handled it. Townsend tries to control, can't make it stick, but it comes back to him off a poor touch from Rashford. Good turn by Townsend, and he's got support here as well. Wan-Bissaka crossing it. Benteke's header is over the top of the crossbar. Wan-Bissaka's growing in stature of the game.
Played very, very well. Good cross in again. Benteke is from a standing jump this time. It's very, very difficult. He gets up high, can't quite get over it. Another yard in front of him, he'd have had to take a step and leap at that. And I think he would have caused De Gea an awful lot of problems. But I think United's formation now is 3 at the back, Nemanja Matic in front of that, and the rest of you just go and score.
The Manchester United goal came 10 minutes into the second half to make it 2-1. We've got the final quarter of the match still remaining, 22 minutes, plus the stoppages. And here is Matic near the centre circle, rolling it back to Lindelof, and Palace, who've been all about pressing early in the game, are now sitting back and inviting Manchester United onto them. Pogba, short from Mata, midway inside the Palace half, right of centre in midfield. Pirouettes 360 degrees, gives it back to Mata. Quick early ball onto Lukaku. Crossing position on the right-hand side. Here comes the delivery. Lingard's header. Couldn't get it on target. It's still in play for Shaw on the left-hand side. He's just outside the penalty area. Wan-Bissaka working hard to edge him backwards. Shaw on the retreat. Wan-Bissaka lunges in, and he almost gets a standing ovation there. And it's going to be a throw-in to Crystal Palace. Last touch off Shaw.
Linesman didn't give it, but the referee overruled him. Palace will take their time. I think Roy's got to make a change. He's got to bring on some fresh legs. 1 or 2 players starting to look a little bit weary with 70 minutes. I get why he doesn't want to, because the team's doing well, they're settled, they're organised, they're defending okay. But you just get the feeling that Manchester United are going to start to build the pressure.
We said very early on, would Crystal Palace be able to keep up this tempo for the full 90 minutes? Well, they've been able to do it for 70 minutes. But Roy Hodgson is going to need fresh legs, surely, sooner rather than later. Shaw takes the throw in, back to Lindelof, 15 yards inside his own half. Manchester United in the very light grey shirts, playing from right to left as we look down. Crystal Palace in their traditional red and blue vertical stripes. Lingard in possession, hugging the touchline on the right wing, and back to Matic, who from inside the Crystal Palace half is forced to play it all the way back to David De Gea.
No, I've never been in that situation as a manager to make those decisions, but I bet there's very few managers that come back and go, yeah, I made a substitution too early. But I bet there's an awful lot that say, oh dear, I made it too late.
It's a very good point. Manchester United have won a corner down the right-hand side. Mata already running across to place it. He's got an urgency about him, fresh legs having come on just recently. It was Tompkins who put the ball out for the corner. Crystal Palace, who've been 2-0 up for so long tonight, would be distraught if they were to concede an equaliser. Here's the delivery. Smalling jumped for it, couldn't get a clean connection. Shaw knocks it back in. Pogba gets a touch, but big Benteke back there wins the header, and Sørloth clears it out of the box. Manchester United have it back. Nemanja Matic, smart turn, gives it out to Lingard, I think it is, wide on the right-hand side, delivers a low cross which Benteke will put out for a corner, and the pressure from Manchester United continues.
Well, they've probably got, with injury time, at least 20 minutes to hold out, and it just keeps coming wave after attack now. And that's because Crystal Palace are now starting to sit back. They've just lost that little bit of energy to start closing down higher up the pitch.
Mata's corner is high. Smalling was close to it. Matic at the back post. Oh, and it's cleared off the goal line. Sensational block on the goal line.
Referee's looking at his watch. Clearly didn't cross the line. He's still having another look.
He's having a glance at the goal line technology. But that was hammered in from Matic. It didn't hit the goalkeeper. It hit somebody on the goal line. And it's been cleared away. It might have been Benteke, maybe?
Oh, it was a very crowded penalty area, 6-yard box. Matic just lashed it through.
Mata makes a good run into the penalty area. Little back heel and cleared away by Wan-Bissaka and out for a throw. Well, that is as close as Manchester United have come to an equaliser. Nemanja Matic, who's never scored for Manchester United, drilling in a low shot, beating the goalkeeper, but cleared off the line. Here's Rashford in the penalty area, turns on the left-hand side. Alexis Sanchez comes across to help him, and Andros Townsend, who not only tackles him to put it out of play, and he's going to get booked for this, he then kicked the ball into the crowd. So he made the tackle, it came back off the advertising board, and in an attempt to waste time, Andros Townsend kicked the ball into the crowd, and for that he's been shown a yellow card.
Well, if they come away with 3 points, they won't mind that, but it's just getting a little bit panicky in that Crystal Palace penalty area.
It really is. Here comes the corner, this time from Alexis Sanchez, and headed away by Christian Benteke. That's exactly what it is. This is like the last few minutes of a cup game, and they are getting fidgety now, Crystal Palace. They're probably glancing at the clock a few times, and it's not moving quick enough for their liking. This has been a long second half for Palace. They have scored in it, but they've also conceded in it, and they've had to absorb a lot of pressure. Shaw to Rashford, good challenge by Martin Kelly, and Manchester United back into their own half again.
But now see, whereas in the first half Benteke and Surlock were able to put the defenders under pressure, Palace getting a little bit nervous, a little bit edgy, starting to drop a little bit deeper. They're getting disconnected from those front two players, and they can't get the pressure on. That's why I think Roy needs to get fresh legs on.
I have to say it's been an entertaining game overall. This hard to take your eyes off it as Pogba picks up possession 15 yards outside the penalty area, low to Lukaku. Mata's arriving now. Sanchez, good turn, shoots, blocked up into the air, off the defender, hits the crossbar, comes out for Lukaku. He can't pull the trigger, he tries again, he puts it in. Wonderful finish by Romelu Lukaku, and from 2 goals down, Manchester United are back on level terms, and boy did he take his time over that finish. He waited and waited and waited, and then he pulled the trigger, and he timed it perfectly to score. Lukaku's goal, Crystal Palace 2, Manchester United 2.
Well, from the first shot, when it looped up, I think it was James Tompkins that it hit. Sanchez drove it in. Time seemed to stand still. Everybody stopped, waited. It came back off the crossbar. Lukaku then has 2 or 3 touches. And there's 4 Palace players around him. No one goes really tight to get that challenge in and stop him shooting. And when he shoots through a load of players, Hennessy has no chance.
23rd goal for Manchester United for Romelu Lukaku as Townsend crosses. Benteke headed. What a save by David De Gea, diving down low to his right. Well, he seems to make one of those every week, but it doesn't take away how magnificent it is. That was a world-class save by the Spanish goalkeeper.
That is a remarkable save. Oh. That's almost past him. That's David Seaman-esque and Paul Pesciolino in the 2003 Cup semi-final. It's almost gone past him. He sort of dives backwards and scoops it out, but doesn't just get a hand on it, gets it 6 or 7 yards away from the goal. I mean, that's an outstanding save to keep Manchester United on level terms.
Jose Mourinho's having a bit of fun in games, by the way, with the Crystal Palace supporters. He didn't celebrate at all when Lukaku scored the goal, Mourinho. He remained sitting in his seat, straight face. But I've just seen him there do a sort of, here he is again, he's up again. He's definitely having a little bit of banter with the Palace supporters. He kind of did this, the kind of Japanese, put your hands together and bow to them. So he's given them credit for something. Maybe a song they were singing or a joke that was made. And, well, you can see more of the funny side of it now because his team have come from 2-0 down to be back on level terms.
I don't know if you'll get the chance to speak to the managers after the game, but if you get a chance, just at Roy Hodgson, just ask him if he regrets not making a substitution earlier.
Yeah. Here is a burst into the penalty area on the left-hand side, and the ball is pulled back. And Crystal Palace have it here inside the Manchester United penalty area, but Mata controls well. and he's able to come away with Schlupp, who slipped as he delivered the final ball there, but Manchester United took a moment to get it clear. 2-2 on 5 Live from the BBC, and here is Sørloth. Good turn on Luke Shaw, who's looked a bit rusty since he's come into the game. Sørloth for the shot. Well, it's a long way out, and he wasn't going to beat David De Gea from there, and he puts it wide of the target anyway. But that Benteke header, I mean, incredible. He's been involved at both ends. It was Benteke who had the goal line clearance earlier on, where he literally saved the ball bang on the goal line, and then the header at the other end, which David De Gea, I mean, almost in Gordon Banks from Pele sort of territory, diving down to get low to his right hand side, and his hands were behind his head when he made the save. He had to almost scoop it back out. But because he makes those saves with such regularity, it almost doesn't stand out as much as it should. That is incredible goalkeeping.
And outstanding the fact that he hasn't had an awful lot to do in this game, so he's got to remain constant. You know, when goalkeepers are making save after save after save, sometimes they seem unbeatable, and you get that in training sometimes, where, you know, you're just pinging shots in all the time, and can't seem to get past him. The concentration, his ability to pull that save out of the blue, incredible.
Okay, here comes a change for Crystal Palace. Inevitably, Jeffrey Schlupp, just back from injury, his first league appearance in over 2 months. He was never going to last the full 90 minutes, so he goes off, and Jariro Riedewald, the Dutch defender, will come on in his place. He was one of Frank de Boer's signings back in the summer, seems an age ago. By the way, the significance, right, of those 2 goals for Manchester United. So when Crystal Palace were 2-0 up, they were moving up to 13th in the table. After those 2 goals, even though it's now back on level terms, Palace aren't losing or anything, they will remain in the relegation zone. They will be still on 28 points, same as Southampton, but behind them with a worse off goal difference. So the significance is 5 places. It's remarkable.
1 goal. That's all it is, 5 places. That's how tight the bottom of the table is. And that's why we keep writing off teams saying, oh, they're getting relegated, they're going down. And then they get a win, a couple of teams lose, we don't expect it, and it all changes. I mean, the title race is gone, we know that, but the race for who's going to stay up is going to be absolutely immense.
It could all change again with another Palace goal if they were to regain the lead, but I just wonder, the start of the night, if you'd offered Roy Hodgson a draw, he'd have taken it.
He'd have snapped your hand off.
And with him bringing on Riedewald there, I think they're willing to sit back now, and that could be dangerous against Manchester United. Cross on the right-hand side by Sanchez. Controlled here by Andros Townsend, but Shaw nips in to get the ball for Manchester United. Townsend, who's been so busy tonight, plays hard, works it back off Shaw. That's brilliant, and makes sure that it's a throw-in to Crystal Palace. And Mourinho is up, and he's animated, and he is shouting at Luke Shaw. And they've got a long history, those two, of not seeing eye to eye. And Mourinho was almost on the pitch there, bellowing at Luke Shaw.
He is the closest man to him, though. You do often get that as a full-back or a winger. And I won't lie, you do sort of learn to go a little bit deaf at times. just raise a hand, some sort of feeble acknowledgement.
I know you're saying about location of the pitch, but early last season, I remember Mourinho publicly naming Luke Shaw as an underperformer, and you don't hear managers singling out and throwing a player under a bus like that very often.
Maybe he thought, and I still think he probably thought it was necessary.
Yeah. Here is Alexis Sanchez. Lays it on to Pogba. 2-2 the scoreline at Sellers Park. We've got 10 minutes to play. Still plenty of time for goals here as Palace give away a free kick for a foul on Juan Mata by Martin Kelly. Kelly's not happy about it. Free kick to Manchester United, 12 yards or so outside the penalty area. So just, by the way, people tuning in all the time, Townsend and Van Aanholt put Palace 2 up. Smalling and Lukaku have made it 2-2. 10 minutes to play here, and at 10 o'clock on 5 Live, we'll be talking cycling in today's developments with Bradley Wiggins and Team Sky, with a special edition of Bespoke with OJ Borg. Free kick to Manchester United. Mata standing over it. An animated Mourinho down there now. He's been muted for much of the game, but he realises there's a chance now to win this game and to move ahead of Liverpool back into second. Mata waits for the signal for the referee. Here it comes. Short run up. Good delivery, but will be cleared away by Van Aanholt on the far side. Van Aanholt cuts it, that's a clever ball, cut back into midfield to MacArthur. MacArthur now releases Sørloth. Almost running in slow motion down the left wing. Lingard was 10 yards behind him there and managed to catch up with him. Sørloth just got to the ball first, plays it back. Here comes the delivery, into the box, chance for MacArthur. Oh, he didn't hit it. What an opportunity, 12 yards out, and he just deflected it. He didn't put any power.
Changed his mind, Connor. That's exactly what he did. He was going to shoot first time, and then it looked like he suddenly decided to take a touch, And that little bit of hesitancy, his touch was way too heavy.
Here comes Lukaku into the penalty area on the right-hand side, has to take a touch to move out of the box. He now has a few step-overs, left-footed cross, behind most of his teammates and cleared away by Wan-Bissaka. Only as far as Matic. Manchester United come again. Pogba to Lukaku. Crossing position on the right-hand side, works his way into the penalty area, turns one way, then the other, tries to hook it towards the far post, and it goes wide of the target, and he signals to his teammates that it was a cross, but I think he was going for a goal there, and it's off target from Lukaku.
Well, it doesn't matter what it was. If it was a cross, it was poor. If it was a shot, it was poor. But it was a great chance for MacArthur. As it came in, he started to swing like he was going to shoot, then changed his mind, looked like he was going to try and control it and have a touch. It was halfway through the shot action and his touch was way too heavy.
6 minutes plus the stoppages to go. Look around Sellers Park, nobody's leaving early. Usually at this sort of a game you've got hordes of people beginning to go towards the exits.
And it's not an easy ground to get away from, is it? So you can't blame the fans.
But they are glued to this one. Palace, who've been 2 up. Manchester United, who've come back to level at a 2-2. Are there to be further developments? Is there to be a twist in the tail as the ball is cleared away by Riedewald from midfield? Shaw jumps in the air with Benteke, only going to be one winner there. But the ball goes out of play and it will be a Manchester United throw. Mourinho very animated, right on the edge of the touchline. Lots of instructions being delivered now. If they do come back to win this 3-2, he'll be taking all the credit, so he'll want to show that he's had a big impact. Here is Mata near the centre circle, gives it back to Lindelof. And now further to Alexis Sanchez. Do Crystal Palace have enough in the tank to hang on? Pogba, tackled by Riedewald, the man with fresh legs who's come on as a sub. MacArthur clears it up towards Benteke. Lindelof straight into the back of him. Benteke onto his knees. The referee says it's a fair challenge. Manchester United get it back. Here is Lingard. Rolls it low towards Lukaku. Good defending by Tompkins, who's had a fine game. And Van Aanholt comes away with it on the left-hand side. Short to Sørloth. Holds it up for Riedewald. And Crystal Palace have got controlled possession, which we've not said very often in the last 15 minutes.
And the same questions will be asked of Manchester United. Why can't they play at this tempo all the time? Why couldn't they play at this tempo in the first half? Like they did last week. Started slowly against Chelsea, much better in the second half. Woeful today here in the first half, much better in the second.
Free kick to Crystal Palace. Yes, Manchester United were 1-0 down last week against Chelsea, came back to win 2-1. Tonight they've been 2-0 down against Crystal Palace, and so far they've got it back to 2-2. But now this Palace free kick, 10 yards outside the penalty area. Andros Townsend has already placed the ball. Sørloth is up there, Benteke of course. Martin Kelly is staying back. But Tompkins has gone forward. David De Gea standing just one pace off his goal line, and he's actually erected a one-man wall. Juan Mata is standing there as Townsend runs up, floats it into the penalty area. Smalling clears it away. He's done well in the air tonight, Chris Smalling. Straight to Van Aanholt. He's got a lot of teammates ahead of him. Back into the box. Too high for Tompkins. Shaw wins the header. Milivojevic gets it back for Palace though. This is Townsend encouraging Milivojevic to continue the run. Goes around Matic, but there was too much of a stretch to get any power on the cross, and it was weak and cleared away by Lindelof. But Lindelof's clearance didn't go anywhere, and Crystal Palace will remain on the attack. They have a throw in on the right hand side, 15 yards from the corner flag. Short by Wan-Bissaka to Andros Townsend, back to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Shaw standing up in front of him, great footwork. Here comes the cross. De Gea steps off his line and gathers possession for Manchester United. 2-2, sends a long clearance towards the left wing, towards Rashford, but straight out of play from De Gea.
Didn't quite have the accuracy, David De Gea. I mean, Rashford was looking over his shoulder, jumped high, tried to bring it down, and Palace will soak up as many seconds as they possibly can. It's not just about time wasting, it's just trying to stop Manchester United's momentum as well.
A draw tonight would leave Crystal Palace still in the relegation zone. They would move level on points with fourth from bottom Southampton, who I saw draw at St Mary's against Stoke on Saturday.
But they'd need 9 points from 9 games to stay up. And since Roy Hodgson has taken over, average points per game 1.125, sorry. So they would do it if he carries on this reign. So
and this could
38 points. This could be a massive point.
The difference
for Crystal Palace
between holding on for a point here or conceding a late winner for Manchester United the last 3-4 minutes is enormous for Palace. This could be the point that keeps them up if they can hold on to it. Townsend tries to go around Shaw, loses it briefly, but here is Riedewald. Gets it away from Pogba, up to Sørloth. 15 yards inside the Manchester United half. Pogba all over him, trying to win back possession. Sørloth delivers the cross into the box. Lindelof in front of Benteke, takes no chances and puts it out for a throw. Crystal Palace on the attack, minutes remaining at Selhurst Park.
Yeah, and Palace is trying to slow it down as much as they possibly can. Every opportunity, walking to take throw-ins, keeping the ball in the Manchester United half as long as possible. This is if they hold on 2 minutes plus injury time, it's an outstanding result, even though they were 2-0 up.
Here is Townsend, about to pull the trigger. Alexis Sanchez win with a tackle. Townsend wiggles his way onto his left foot, but then the shot has very little power, and it's a Lingard back there who clears away for Manchester United. Lukaku's careless ball to Milivojevic. Townsend onside on the right-hand side. 3 to aim for. Benteke one of them, but Smalling wins the header and clears it away. They've drawn with Man City here. They've beaten Chelsea here. Can Crystal Palace get the draw against Manchester United? As Rashford comes in the attack on the left-hand side. Good ball in from Mata. Out comes Hennessy. Just about. I thought makes the save, but the referee says it didn't touch the goalkeeper, and it's wide from Mata and a goal kick.
I thought it was a save, unless it hit Mata on the rebound. It must have. Just having a little look at the replay. Yeah, I think it did. It hit him on the rebound. Great goalkeeping from Hennessy, though. Came out very, very quickly. Denied Juan Mata any sort of space whatsoever.
And Crystal Palace, let's not forget, have got an entire team out injured at the moment. You've got to put it in that context. This is a cobbled together side. There's all sorts of round pegs and square holes down there. There's the likes of young Wan-Bissaka, who's a complete rookie. There's Martin Kelly, who's been dragged off the treatment table to come on and play. Schlupp, who hadn't played in 2 months. Sørloth, who's only making his 3rd appearance of the Premier League. And yet, the 2-2 at Manchester United. And we're very close to moving now into stoppage time at Selhurst Park. This is 5 Live for the BBC. It's been a very entertaining game tonight. 4 goals coming. There'll be one more to crush the hearts of whichever team were to lose. MacArthur's in a storming game. Gets there ahead of Alexis Sanchez on the edge of the box. Clears it away to Sørloth. Sørloth bides his time, sends it over the top for Benteke, who'll run but won't get there as it goes out for a throw. And some of the Palace fans, this is the first time I've seen that tonight, sort of on the back of Benteke, they said, come on, you could have got to that.
Oh, I'm not sure he could have done. I mean, it's bouncing out of play.
I think he's done his best there.
Yeah, I mean, and he's worked his socks off, in all fairness. Now, what's he going to do with it? All he can do is maybe kick it in the crowd a little bit further.
Alexis Sanchez tries to cross to the right-hand side. It comes back to him off MacArthur. 3 minutes are being added on for stoppages. Mata tackled by Van Arnold. The loose ball falls to Nemanja Matic. Then Alexis Sanchez scoops it up. What a good ball. Controlled by Mata in the penalty area. Back to Pogba. Shoots and it's blocked away. Now Nemanja Matic shoots. Oh my word! A winning goal in stoppage time from Nemanja Matic. And it's an absolute screamer. It's his first goal from Manchester United. What a way to win the game 3-2.
And he's broken Crystal Palace hearts. Mourinho saying, get back in. Actually, no, he's telling David De Gea to come and see him. Obviously, he wants to talk to him to sort something out. Absolutely demanding that he comes to him. But what a hit from the man to Matic. Pogba had the initial shot. It came back out to Matic. Took a touch. It bounced up nicely. Left-footed. Right into the far corner. I don't think Hennessy has a chance of getting this. Just seen it again. It comes back out to him. Has a touch. Lets it bounce a couple of times. Cuts across it. Just puts on that little bit of swerve. Just bends into the far corner.
Goal of the month contender.
Away from Hennessy.
From Nemanja Matic. His first goal for Manchester United. He scored 4 in the Premier League for Chelsea. That was quite
What was the last
brilliant.
one he hit? There was an absolute stormer.
He did, I do remember that, and I can't remember the opponent. FA Cup at Wembley, one of the semi-finals. He hit a screamer. Nemanja Matic, wow. What a way to win a game, Danny Bills, and as you say, breaking the hearts of Crystal Palace from 2 up to lose 3-2, as it surely will be now. Roy Hodgson looks defeated down there. There's a minute or 2 to go, but that's it.
They've gone from 18th to 13th to back to 18th, and now they've lost, and it's still on the same points as Stoke. I mean, what an it, but 2-0 up. they've got to ask questions, I think. And I said so many times they needed fresh legs on sooner. Manchester United was starting to build up a head of steam, started to build up a little bit of momentum. Three of them, Roy Hodgson, Ray Lewington, a couple of the coaches were down there clearly discussing what they should do. Sometimes you've got to make a change. You know, if you think it's right, just do it. Maybe let it go on a little bit too long, a little bit of tiredness creeps in, and United have got themselves back into the game and then gone on and won the game with a fantastic strike.
Well, you can imagine the scenes up and down the country. Supporters from Southampton, Newcastle, Huddersfield, West Ham, they all would have cheered in unison. That Nemanja Matic goal, pretty much unsavable. He was way outside the penalty area, smack on the volley, curling from out to in to just creep inside the post. Fantastic strike. 3-2 Manchester United, and that's a little bit like the Manchester United of old, the team that never gave up, that would always come up with a late winner. The Alex Ferguson years. We've not seen much of it.
What was the stat you had earlier about when they were losing at half-time? They haven't
They haven't, yeah. That's correct, yeah. They haven't come back to win in, what was the number, 28 times or 24 times or something from being behind at half-time, but they have done it here at Selhurst Park. Manchester United win. They move back into second, ahead of Liverpool, who they will play at Old Trafford at the weekend. Jose Mourinho's got to be delighted with that. And again, just as it was last week against Chelsea, it's a game of two halves for Manchester United. Very poor in the first half, 3 goals in the second half to win it. Danny Mills.
I still think Mourinho will be disappointed the way that his team played in the first half. Roy Hodgson must be absolutely devastated. Tactics, probably until the 48th minute, were absolutely perfect. Great free kick, quick thinking to take the 2-0 lead. Van Harnop's finish, lack of concentration from Tompkins, played everybody onside, and then they just started to get nervy, panicky, sit deeper and deeper and deeper, and United came on strong in the end.
Well, they did it the hard way, Mark Chapman, but Manchester United get their 19th league victory of the season. It's more than they managed in all of last season. It puts them back into second. They've won 3-2.
City have 78 points, United 62, Liverpool 60, Spurs 58 and Chelsea 53. The bottom 3 this evening, West Brom on 20, Stoke on 27, Crystal Palace on 27. Then comes Southampton with 28, Newcastle with 29, Huddersfield, West Ham, Swansea with 30. It's hard not to feel some sympathy for Crystal Palace here, Danny Mills, because we've been here before with them. In fact, in the last home game, when they conceded a very late winner to Spurs, and Roy Hodgson looked equally frustrated down there at the Matic goal as he did at the Harry Kane one.
So you've got to look at the reasons why that keeps happening. We talked about Arsene Wenger earlier, keeps conceding the same sort of goals. Crystal Palace keep conceding goals. They put so much effort into that first half, so much effort into the first 15 minutes of the second half. You've got 3 substitutes. Whether they're maybe not the strongest, they're fresh legs. You've got to get them on sometimes. That's the whole point of having substitutes. Use your squad wisely. You know, Milivojevic was clearly getting tired, couldn't get near people. And I think, and I said it earlier, very rare managers will regret making a substitution too early. So often they make it